Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be, and welcome to Honey Badger Radio. My name is Brian. I'm here with Allison, and this is Maintaining Frame number 162, Internet Blood Sports, Wilson versus Feminists. Are you not entertained? I made a little bit of adjustments because your title had too many, it was too long. So
Yeah,
for
I
YouTube.
gave you a lot of title. I figured you might prune it a bit, turn
Yeah,
it into a
I'd have
title bonsai.
to make it work.
Yeah.
So we are going to be, I want to make sure the chat is working. Oh yeah, it's working. Okay, good.
Mhm.
So the chat is there. I see you guys. Welcome to the stream. We're going to be live responding to a video. Oh shit! Wait, hold on. Oh yeah, stupid kick. Shut up. Yeah, we're gonna be live reacting to a debate on and well, it's not Andrew Wilson's channel. It's a channel called Raging Tomato. And I
Mm,
guess she hosts debates or something.
okay.
And so she is going to be hosting the debate. It's not starting for another 15 minutes or so.
It looks like maybe 12 minutes if they get on
Yeah, like
time,
12
because
minutes.
they
If they
might
start
they
on
might be
time.
like us.
Yeah, maybe.
It's a
Um
moving target the time that we start, but we always usually at least get a stream done. There are some
yeah,
streamers who
that's
don't
true.
even do that. They're like, yeah, not today, with
Uh
no
yeah. Go ahead. What was that?
with no plans to, well, at least start. At least we start. You got to give us that. At least we do it. We don't just
Yeah.
wander off and not stream for weeks or months at a time.
Who does that?
I don't know.
Oh,
It's
okay.
somebody I just
I mean,
made
I'm
up.
sure it
Raw
happens.
streamer that I made up in my own head.
Oh, okay, okay.
That
All
that
right.
will make us look better by comparison.
Yeah. So I thought I would share with you guys this specific debate and why I thought it was interesting.
Not
So,
just because of Natty.
well, that's part of it, but like, so okay. Um, I'm I'm very much interested in finding out like what are the strongest possible arguments for any case. I think it's just
Hmm.
important to like keep an open mind on, maybe there's something I'm missing, maybe there's a blind spot, whatever it is. And the title of this debate is Andrew and Rachel, that's Andrew and Rachel Wilson, are representing a distorted version of Orthodox Christianity. But
Mm.
the reason why it's relevant to us is because Natty thinks that, at least I caught this on a debate I saw they had on X, like, I don't know, a couple weeks ago. She basically accused Andrew and Rachel of being like, closet fundies that are really good friends with Peter Wright. And
Mm.
so, because Peter Wright is the guy who runs gynocentrism.com, which is like one of the places where we get a lot of our, well, it's not really where we get it from, but there's a lot of like, let's say, parallels or connections. I mean, like Hannah is, friends with Peter Wright. I think they talk frequently. Peter Wright talked to me a lot too. And I don't know if he's spoken to you, Allison, but for
Hmm.
whatever reason, Natty has like a bee in her bonnet about Peter Wright, and she thinks that Andrew and Rachel Wilson are like in cahoots with Peter Wright to subvert the Orthodox Church or something because they believe in a distorted version of reality, which is the gynocentric worldview, which she wholeheartedly rejects. Okay, as a not gynocentrism, she rejects that the world is gynocentric or that we live in a time of gynocentrism. And so I want to know for a few things I want to get out of this is one, what is she talking about? Like, what is the strongest argument that she can make for that? Two, what does Andrew think about that? Because, he's not necessarily a men's rights advocate, but he does debate against feminism a lot.
He uses a lot
And
of the arguments
and
that we've
yeah,
developed.
he knows a lot of the talking points too.
Hmm.
So I want to know, like, where he stands on that. And I wonder if they're going to get to what because I think I actually understand what gynocentrism is in terms of like how it should be seen and how people get it wrong is that they
Hmm.
think it's some kind of like unavoidable biological truth, and I don't think it is. but I wonder if that's going to be addressed as well. I wonder if Natty even understands what it is,
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see where people stand on this stuff. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, my personal I mean, she's accused me of being in cahoots regards to gynocentrism with Peter Wright. In fact, I think that's just her general go-to, is that we're all pawns of Peter Wright.
Yeah.
And even though I've gotten into arguments with him, well, not arguments, but debates over the nature of what he's terming gynocentrism, and his particular position is that gynocentrism is not evolutionary, it's not biological, it's actually social. And so I'm not even sure why Natty has it out for him in particular, because a lot of other people think that gynocentrism is something that's unavoidable. It's a biological inevitability.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing. Like, I think that I really don't like it when ideas are misrepresented, but possibly I'm open to the idea that they are misunderstood. So I want to see if there's going to be some clarity. And I think because like this is likely going to be getting watched by a lot of people. It's like going to be a trending thing because, like I said, the issue of men and women is everywhere now. It's like the topic du jour.
It's exploded.
Yeah,
people are starting to realize. I think what's happened, as I talked about this a long time ago, about the chasm of actually like accepting new ideas. And it takes a lot of pain for people to start integrating new ideas into their conversations, and start to look at them not in terms of something alien and untested, but something that's possible or something that might fix a problem that they have. And I think what's happening now is our society is going into the pain, as I call it, the chasm of pain, because of the particular narrative, the particular framework or relationship between men and women that it's embraced and institutionalized and spread everywhere. And that is starting to bear fruit in terms of pain, like economic failure, like this issue with government debt. This is all connected. Yeah. And then we're also talking about, dating. We have now a larger and larger population of men who I don't think have given up. I don't want to use the term given up. They have chosen to miss.
They made a rational decision.
They made a rational decision to stop focusing on relationships with women as a central part of their life. And I know there are men who can't do that, and they continue to believe that if they don't have a relationship with a woman, that their life is incomplete. That's fine. I'm talking about the men who have made a rational decision to just not pursue women as a central part of their life. And that is having lots of effects. It's having effects politically, because we're now seeing that body have like a political clout that is getting things done, regardless of what you think of what Trump is doing. He's in power because of that group of men, because that group of men did not respond to, both conservative and liberal women saying, if you don't vote the way we want, you're going to get nookie. You're not going to get nookie. And these guys are like, well, we're not going to get it anyway. We may not want it, or we may recognize that we are, as Homath would say, not people. So, I mean, you're basically threatening us with something we already don't have. So good luck to you, ladies. We're going to vote in terms of what we think is the interests of our nation and in ourselves. And we're seeing that, the rise of that, like a rise of a male political voting base that is completely uncontrolled by feminism, uncontrolled by women's expectations. So it's almost like an anti-gynocentrism group, like an anti-gynocentrism voting bloc. And honestly, they have every right to look at what women are saying to men now. I just recently read a Medium article by a woman who refers to average men as potatoes, and they're completely unattractive, uninteresting to her. And yet she says that any woman who is expressing an interest in a potato just wants to tear his head off and suck out his wallet. And I'm like, this kind of rhetoric is pervasive in like the sexual marketplace, shall we say. And I think it's it's getting men to basically check out more and more and more. The more women do this, the more men check out. And the more men check out, the more their politics becomes more about themselves and their interests in the greater world and what they think is important, as opposed to being controlled by women. So it's fascinating to watch, and I think it's become the next topic of conversation, simply because eventually we're going to have to ask, well, what does this body of men really want? And then we're going to have to give it to them, or they are not going to be participating in whatever system we want them to participate in. You can push back on anything I've said there.
No, the thing's about to start. So I just wanted to explain to people how this is going to work. This is a live debate, so we're live reacting to a live debate. So I'm not pausing it. I'm just going to let it
stream
play.
inception.
We're streaming the stream and we're reacting to it. So I'm not going to pause it. So what I do have in place is a audio ducking mechanism. So when we talk, the audio of the video we're looking at is going to drop down so that you can hear us. So basically, with that said, I think that we're going to do any super chats or super chows. I'll do in a batch. I don't know how long the debate's going to be. Obviously, there's no way of knowing. Lindsay says she thinks it might be short. We'll see if there's a crash out or whatever, a rage quit. But I don't know what's going to happen. So just let you guys know what's going on. If you want to send us a message at any time during the show, you can send a super chat. You can send a Rumble rant. But the best way is to go to feedthebachelor.com/just-the-tip. So that, you get to post whatever you want. You won't get censored, and you can go long if you wish. And we'll get more of what you give instead of Google taking half or more of the super chows. So super chats rather.
Can I also point out that I think that the debate with Philosophicat sounds like it's more interesting really than the debate with Natty. Because Natty, I've noticed, just sort of shotguns her particular whatever thing that she's got caught in her craw.
Sure.
Like the Peter Wright gynocentrism thing. And or lately she's been accusing me of being a theosophist. Because because the thing is, theosophism, I had to look it up, is apparently they believe that androgyny is ascendancy. And I mean, when we move beyond physical form, I'm sure that we become something that is not as defined by our physical form, but that's sort of irrelevant. But she believes that I have that view because I say that men and women can learn something from each other. In specific, women can learn from men. It's called fatherhood. Girls can learn something very important from men, and when they don't have fathers, they fail to learn it. And that's really what I was getting at. But apparently fatherhood is androgyny. Men teaching children how to do in a masculine sense is androgyny and theosophy. So theosophy, yeah. So I was just pointing out that Natty just seems to, like I said, shotgun whatever weird thing is on her mind and accuses everyone else of it.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I mean, but the Philosophicat thing is at 4:00, so
I don't know we probably won't make it. Well, maybe we can pick it up as like a show topic later. If anything interesting comes out of it.
Yeah.
So I guess we're just going to be play-by-playing this.
Well, I mean, I can leave this on until it starts. In the meantime, I can show you guys something else, and when it goes live, I'll let you know.
Okay.
So I have this. This is Dean Withers, the Bro Whisperer, and I just saw this short clip about him. Yes.
Okay, let's watch. Yeah.
What were you gonna say?
Well, I was gonna say I got into an argument with someone. I don't even understand who this individual's on the comment section to when we were responding to the Dean Withers Bro Whisperer thing, and he was like saying, "You're making it us versus them." I'm like, "Well, this is the Democrat."
What do you mean us versus them? What does that mean?
Yeah, what does that mean? This is the Democrat Party's selection to try to, I guess, build a bridge to the male voting bloc that they know they need to attract in order to win another election now. And this is what he says about men. He says that the failure of the left is to explain to, or to get men to realize that their problems are simply privilege leaving their body. Like, it's just,
Yeah.
and I don't know what to say. That's what he said. That's who the left has presented, or the Democrats have presented as their ambassador to men. And like, it is. And you're telling me that pointing this out is making it us versus them? Like, it was just a
Yeah,
really
I don't know who is us and who is them. That's what I want to know.
Yeah, exactly.
Is it because he's a man that we're supposed to just like, because like
yeah,
I don't know who's us and who's them. That's what I
yeah,
want.
that's a good point. Yeah, who's us and who's them?
Yeah. Okay, so this is Dean Withers going viral for allegedly well, not even allegedly. Let's just look. He's talking to somebody's father, and let's just watch this.
I was dumb enough to send my kid in. It's no different than a baby commercial for diapers.
Can you answer my question? Do you think that you have the right to consent to 65-year-old men looking at your son while he's naked?
I wouldn't allow it.
Do you think
That's
that
not
you
a
have the
responsibility of the
right?
father.
Do you think that you have the right to allow it? Do you think if you did allow it, that you would be violating the consent of your child?
They have no choice in the matter whatsoever. It's my decision.
Okay, just can I ask a question? What is the context of the 65-year-old man looking at his child?
I don't know the full context, but essentially the idea is the dad is saying, I don't want to subject my children to queer theory teachers, basically. And or something like Drag Queen Story Hour or a pride parade or whatever it is. But essentially it's a father saying, this is my kid. I have authority over my kid. And Dean is saying, you're not getting the child's consent. So the argument is about whether or not children have like authority over their own consent, even beyond their parents.
Okay,
and
well,
the father is saying, no, it's my kid. I get to decide.
Well, but here's the problem with that. How can children consent to the LGBTQ plus curriculum? If they can't consent, they can't consent to that.
Yeah.
But so who gets to determine if children can't get sent, then who gets to determine what's in their environment?
Well, no, but Dean is suggesting that children should be able to consent. So like he's giving them the authority of consent as though they are adults, essentially. And the father is saying, no, I'm the dad. Like this is like my children. Okay. But that's not the part about this that's interesting. So I'm going to go back a little bit. Notice his shocked expression at the thought that a dad actually has authority over his children.
Violating the consent of your child?
They have
it's a little low.
matter whatsoever. It's my
decision. I can't raise it.
Parent. And I wouldn't put my kid in that situation. That's why I think pageants are weird in the first place. I would never.
I don't think we need to do 20 seconds for this one.
Why is it paused? No, there's more that happens. He just puts his hand over his mouth.
Oh God, I hate that gesture.
Yeah, but look, he gets on his phone. Hold on.
Amen. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. I think that you don't deserve to have any custodial rights over your child. So for those watching, their handle is Goatman91096.
Wait, so you deserve to have custodial rights over the child? Like, so you make the decisions?
That's good. It has like facial recognition software.
You can find me. It's fine. Nothing I said was wrong. Okay, I just said that the kid doesn't get to make the decision.
What's your name?
I would never put them in that situation.
Okay, what's your name?
And why are you trying to dox people, dude? That's weird.
Because I want to find who you are so I could call CPS and have them take
Because he thinks he has more authority over this man's kid.
Yes, I would. So
than he does.
Do it. That's the best part.
Okay.
Because I would take the part, and I have a witness sitting here who's heard me say I would never put my child in that situation.
Okay. So what's your name?
So don't worry. Move the goalpost too, by the way.
So you said that you think that parents have every right to exploit and traffic their children. So
no, that's not what I said.
So I'm not going to debate it with you. That is what you said. So I just putting this out there for anybody. Feel free to take his profile picture, maybe.
What the hell is it? So because he doesn't want children to be exploited, his children to be exploited. He thinks that parents should have the right to sexually traffic their children. All right. Well, here's the thing. Parents, of all the people involved in a child's life, parents tend to be the ones with the greatest desire for that child's well-being. Right? Full stop. It's why CPS, Child Protective Services, hesitates to take children away from their parents, because they know that putting them in the foster system in the care of essentially government bureaucrats is probably going to be a worse outcome. So unless the child is in immediate physical danger, they try to avoid that. This is because there is no group of people more concerned about the well-being of their children than their parents. And all of these so-called activists who are interested in children's consent need to understand that, right? You guys don't have as much concern for the well-being of children as the parents of those children. You have concern for your ideologies and turning those children into vectors for your ideologies. That's not concern for the children. And I don't like, this is insane. And the thing is that it makes perfect sense because individuals like this don't have children. So how do they reproduce their ideologies and their religions? They have to appropriate other people's children. And then they have to delegitimate those parents' authority over their children. And of course, they do that by all this child abuse narrative. And child abuse is actually not that prevalent. And furthermore, in people who are part of the state, so the relationship between a child and somebody who's part of the state is a much more dangerous relationship than child and parent. And I don't know how we got to the point where we think that the state has more interest in the child, more of the child's interests in mind than the parents. That's ridiculous. And anybody who considers themselves an avatar or a representative of the state has more of the child's interests in mind than that child's father and mother. Ridiculous. Okay.
It's surprised that you missed like the main takeaway though.
Oh, okay.
This guy is supposed to be the answer to like why men the answer to why men are like not, moving left, as it were. It's really ultimately what we're talking about. He's supposed to be the guy that's supposed to appeal to male support, and he is trying to alienate a father from his child.
Mm-hmm.
This is the bro whisperer. This is the left. This is what it is. So this is what they do. Like as soon as he stepped out of line, he said, "No, I'm not letting my kid do that." But whatever, it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be completely innocent. Ultimately, a father has authority over his children. And if someone tries to interfere with that, that person does not give a shit about men. He doesn't.
Yeah.
It's impossible. So he is already like, just by stepping in and saying, "I'm going to call CPS on you." It doesn't matter if it works or not. It probably won't, I hope. But the fact that he would try to use that. And if you look at like countries like Canada, where men have lost their children because they would not affirm those kids' discovered gender or whatever it is because of Bill C-16. Okay. So Dean is the face of this is the guy they're putting forward. This is our guy. And this is what he does to men who care about their dads. Okay.
For their children.
So,
yeah. No,
Lindsay
I
just told me
totally
that the
agree.
debate is starting. She just told me the debate is starting. So why is it not? I'm not seeing it. I'm waiting to see where it is, but Lindsay's saying that it's starting.
Okay, well maybe you need to refresh.
The debate's supposed to be an hour. Okay, the debate's supposed to be an hour. I'll refresh.
I'm just going to point this out. It's because also he feels entitled to this because of a narrative, like he said, that men are inherently damaging to the people in their family. Like fathers are damaged. The idea of a father having authority over his family is bad because he's going to use that authority to oppress them and put them into slavery and do all of this other things. And ultimately the end goal of that narrative is to get men out of their families entirely and have the state replace that authority. Is it starting yet?
Okay, so Lindsay told me that it's on. She sees it on the Crucible, so I'm gonna go to the Crucible, and here is the show. So here we go. All right, I'm gonna change it. Here we go.
Right. I'm going to put you both backstage. The intro video is about 2 minutes.
I'm gonna look at those super chows later, okay?
Once we're at about 30 seconds before start, I will put you back on stage, and that's just your cue that you're about to be on screen, so you're not doing anything silly. Okay? All right. Good luck to you both.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I guess we are.
Okay. Yeah, they're warming up. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm not quite sure how much more we can say about the bro whisperer.
I use it as filler. He's just taking away
the most. I'm sorry, I'm under siege by a kitty. The most state-orientated narrative is the feminist narrative.
Generally, you said
it excuses. I'm gonna mute this. It excuses all state intervention into the family, into the community. And the one cure for the feminist narrative is, of course, men's rights activism. That's why we're the first in the hole.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't matter if you call them left or right, or, well, not. It's status versus not status. Okay.
All right. Well, it's still warming up right now. There's an intro playing. So
yeah.
And you can't verify.
Let me know if this is.
Well, maybe we can read that super chow really quick while the intro.
I think it's gonna start pretty soon, but
okay.
Grim84 gave us $20 and says, "Have you guys heard of Alison Armstrong yet? If not, you should look into her. She's from a completely different space online, but has come to the same conclusions about men and women as the people in this corner of the web. The way she conveys the information seems to be a lot more palatable to more women than the average red pill. She's also written a book, The Queen's Code, that may interest our Allison. You guys rock. Thanks for doing what you do. Thank you, Grim84, for that. I'll look it up." And then Mr. Playlist Man gave us $20 in a super chat and said, "Hello, honey bagels. Did you see Andrew Wilson shout you out at 2:25:45? No, I don't watch streams for that long. During his conversation on Raging Tomato stream on Tuesday, great work." That's cool. Yeah, he's shouted us out a couple of times, I guess. So. Okay. Here we go. This should be cringe.
And good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone out there. I am Sarah the Raging Tomato here.
Wow, it's really low. You're going to have to increase the volume here.
But 3 debates today for the Andrew Wilson, the Crucible 200,000 subscriber marathon. I am pleased to host the debates for the day, plus a bonus super panel. We're going to kick off bright and early with Miss Natty and Andrew. The debate topic today is Andrew and Rachel are representing a distorted version of Orthodox Christianity. Natty, you are most welcome to begin with your opening statement, please.
Thank you, Sarah. Okay, so the Wilsons are representing a distorted version of Orthodox Christianity, like you said. So, if the problem is women, Andrew, then the solution is the Theotokos.
The solution?
Week, Andrew wrote a quote tweet,
the Theotokos, which is the Virgin Mary,
of what is causing his and his wife's representation of orthodoxy to be distorted. In his tweet, he reacts to Stefan Molyneux, who says, "The problem is not women. The problem is not men. The problem is political power. Men blaming women and women blaming men misses the entire point." He responded by saying, "Nah, the problem is definitely women." Credit Brittany Venti, thank you. Saying, "I hate the expectation of some of this yin-yang balance bullshit. Sometimes the world actually is."
That's Peter Wright said that.
Man, where's my do-rag?
Okay, freaking.
I like a trifecta of totens.
What?
Okay. The only thing you can do with this is just hold the line.
First, we have
women like this are going to be
who you could say is trying to live out what his image of the father or hierarchy
anomalies,
which I think is self-explanatory. Then we have Tomasi, the Holy Spirit, or the fluid.
Oh no, it was Rollo. It was Rollo that said that.
The
not
godfather of the red pill is based on estrogen pills and a Gnostic-like transhumanist lens of gender inversion. Because if you didn't realize it by now, the manosphere was started by gender-hating transhumanists. And last but not least, we have Molly Meme. I like to call him Molly Meme. The original Gen X Lolbert, libertarian, if you don't know what Lolbert means, the man in the flesh, the individual, the son who is here to give us order. As a former men's rights activist, sorry everyone, I have listened and studied the veterans of
She's
this
apologizing for it.
Not Andrew, of course. Well, anyway.
Well, because she's even said.
It does not surprise me that despite their divisions, they all share the same essence.
Yes, they blame women. Deal with it, Natty.
The view that our culture is woman-centered at the expense of men. They live on
once again, scientifically proven.
A theory that, if you accept it, is based on the Protestant West and more recently Peter Wright's deep resentment towards the mother of our God.
It's Peter Wright.
Virgin Mary.
Always
Peter
Wright.
Wright is the author of the theory.
Yeah.
Peter Wright.
Going back,
she thinks everybody's Peter Wright's puppet.
I am Peter Wright.
I am Peter Wright. We are all Peter Wright.
Experience the dualistic two of yin versus yang, or yin/yang.
Okay, is there any fucking content to this?
Trinity.
Allison, this is live. I don't know.
Evilism doesn't exist.
Is it a rhetorical question?
There are two
yes.
sides in our mind.
Get to the point, Natty. Stop insulting people and saying they're Peter Wright's puppet.
She has a minute and a half to sling shit.
Good.
Yeah, just sling shit. That's all she's doing.
When we are in union with God's will through Christ, we see good, we multiply good, and eventually we become all good. The Orthodox Church describes it as a disease that the church is the hospital for. I am sure that Andrew will say he agrees with my Christian worldview, but as long as he continues to frame his prescriptions about what the problem is, he will forever be tainted. His message will forever be tainted.
Okay, you just got to ignore women like this.
The trifecta of the right-wing culture war, totems like Molly Meme and Tomasi.
Okay, she's just being insulting again.
Island with Rachel catching fish for them.
Why is he going to be tainted?
Whilst
Natty?
he's over there on that island, maybe he'll yell at us, telling me and others that his definition of gynocentrism theory is different to Peter Wright's. He believes in biological or gender essentialist view. So let us get back to where the term first was used. In 1897, Europeans observed the social setup in America using this term to reflect on how women were idealized as moral guardians in American society. And what do you expect when you have a Protestant nation rooted in the rejection of the wiser patriarchy of the Roman Catholic Church? What the later development...
Do you think the patriarchy of the Roman Catholic Church doesn't actually hold women accountable, Natty?
Placed on them. Blame women for expecting them to be the Madonna.
Yes, that is called holding women accountable. Blame women.
An insufficient replacement for Mary. And this compartmentalizing of women did not center them at the expense of men. It placed the burden of morality solely on women's shoulders, which is at odds with Orthodox teaching because Adam fruit willfully and his will is what needs healing first in man.
Okay, so that essentially means that women don't have to take responsibility because men need to lead them.
So today I get to show you an archetype that I particularly enjoy debating, and they're called the never learn this their fucking lesson archetype. With Natty, I can actually outline my entire debate strategy up front.
Oh, she really likes this.
Help her a bit, and she'll still fall prey to it because she debates the same way. She debates the same way that the never learns their fucking lesson archetype always debates. She's going to make a ton of accusations, and you saw she did, but never give us any proof of any of them, which, as you saw, she didn't. I'll simply keep requesting the proof, and
ironically, she's leaning on the very thing that she says doesn't exist, which is women's the perception that women get to judge men.
Rachel have a distorted view of orthodoxy, but never gave us the proof of what this distorted view is. Where's the condemnation from any of the Orthodox Church fathers?
Right there.
Where are they? Where's the condemnation from Orthodox priests on the Wilsons? Where does Natty get the authority to even say this to me? Nowhere, right? But where's the proof, Natty? Where's the proof? She starts by referencing a tweet, a literal joke, a memeing joke with Stefan Molyneux. And let me tell you what led up to that tweet. was a sequence of DMs going back and forth with me and Stefan, where we agreed on some of these things. We agreed on some of these things where it came to cultural issues which intersect and the responsibility of men in some of these cultural issues and women. I was taking the contrary view because it was fucking hilarious. It was hilarious, okay? That's why it was literally funny. And my proof that it was really funny was underneath it, tons and tons and tons of people put laughy emojis, including feminists, because obviously they knew it was a joke. They obviously knew it was a joke. But here's Natty. There's a Holy Spirit trifecta with Daddy Rolly Tomasi with his fucking beanie hat or some shit, along with Rachel catching fish on some island. I don't even know what the fuck she just said, and neither does anybody else.
Does
Now,
Natty's
what did she bring
husband
up her criticisms
do
of?
it
This is
for
very
her?
important. Her criticisms actually had, see how she can't
Like,
tell.
why are
Did I
you
interrupt
flirting with
even
this
once?
dude,
Of
Natty?
course not.
Why do you look like you
interrupt.
want him to take you
Now,
roughly in a
You
closet
see,
somewhere?
what she did bring proof of was some guy named Peter Wright, whose name is not Andrew Wilson. I just want to point this out. Andrew Wilson is a different name than Peter Wright. She goes on to talk about the beliefs of guy named Peter Wright, not the beliefs of guy named Andrew Wilson. Rather, she gives me tons of criticisms about some other guy that I don't give a flying fuck about and don't know anything about and never have. In fact, the most hilarious part of this, I will continuously ask Natty to present proof of any connection between myself, my wife, and this guy, Peter Wright. And guess what she's never going to give you? Any. Because there isn't any to give. There's none to give. In fact, I don't even think I ever would have heard of this guy if it wasn't for Natty. I don't even think I would have ever heard of him if it wasn't for Natty. In fact, I would say that Natty's continual spurging on X probably gets this guy's message out there far more than he ever could get his message out there, because people like me have never even fucking heard of him. People like me with massive platforms, with huge audiences, we don't even know who the fucking guy is, right? Or at least I don't, you know what I mean? And I don't care. So what you can't do is you can't say, the Wilsons are this, and here's all of my criticisms of people who aren't them. Well, that's nice. Can you just stick with what your criticisms are of me? Is it that I make jokes on X, a shit posting site, which is designed literally for shit posting? Literally designed for it. It has a character limit.
I agree with that. X is definitely for shit
because
posting.
you're supposed to go there.
That's what I use it
and
for.
shit post. And it's really funny. It's called engagement baiting. It's hilarious. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with you. You've always been one of these mentally ill whack jobs. Also, Natty has been kicked out of most of these Orthodox communities for a reason. The reason is everywhere she goes, she causes maximum.
Boy, she really likes being spanked.
Usually with the conspiracy theories of trying to tie every fucking buddy who exists in with this guy, Peter Wright. So here's all I'm going to say is this.
I don't know what Peter Wright did to Natty.
Etymology of word doesn't matter. Word meaning changes.
I don't
over
even
time,
think that
if you
Peter
use
Wright's
word with
version of
separate etymology,
gynocentrism,
like Natty does with,
she
I don't know
hasn't
how many
even
words that I
bothered to
could list.
understand it.
That doesn't mean that you're
Natty
referencing
doesn't
the
bother to
same
understand
word,
it?
because meanings change over time. That's one. And the second thing is, I'd actually like to hear the criticisms of Andrew Wilson, not of Peter Wright. That would be great. And I'd like to see actual evidence to back it up instead of speculation.
Damn, he did it
Thank
under the
you
time,
so much.
too.
I appreciate the both of you. A kind reminder to the audience, we are actually not going to go into open panel for this debate. We've got a lot ahead of us, so we're not.
I'm sorry, Brian. That was a lot of grinning on her
However,
part.
we will take time this
I think that
afternoon
it's
to
just
read
like
and respond to your super chat
her
after
poker
we
face.
close, the
She's
closing
trying to appear
statements.
more confident.
All right, I'm going
She's
to
making the
kick
I'm
off.
winning
We're gonna do
face.
2-minute timed sessions to kick off with.
It reads much more like the I would do him face
Well,
to
I
me.
don't know.
Thank you. So notice how Andrew did not address a single point that I made.
What?
What point did she make?
What point did you make aside from Andrew Wilson is Peter Wright's puppet?
He says as a joke. And then goes.
Well, no, I don't. I think he should stand behind blaming women. I hope he does.
Criticizing in the first place, which we probably.
And it's more than just blaming women until we're as comfortable blaming women as we are men. It's also when women take responsibility, society has a massive leap forward.
Andrew actually does believe that the West is gynocentric, And pretty much everything he says about
Well,
women.
why did you talk
even
about
when he
Peter
says
Wright
he's
then?
joking, is actually rooted in this theory, because it's like a presupposition. If you're going to take the position,
I hope he doesn't get sucked into this. Like, just say yes, it's gynocentric.
So
I don't know
let's
if
talk about
Andrew
what
like
gynocentric
has looked
theory
into
really
it too
is.
much.
Peter Wright, who is pretty much the thinker to
Uh,
Lamb, the speaker. If anybody knows about men's rights movement, which Andrew does because he's followed it as well all this time, he is the one who comes out and he's like, "Tough love, ladies. You need to
Maybe we'll get a shout out.
up and be atoned for your sins." But it's actually Peter that was the one who wrote the theory that he uses in his thinking. And what he claims is that since the medieval period in Europe, we have been gynocentric. He says,
and you know, Maddie, that there are other theorists or conjecturists who believe that gynocentrism started with the human race.
Yeah, some people think it's biological. Some people think it's cultural.
Some is like a
He
combination.
doesn't have that definition. I'd like to hear what Andrew's definition is. Thank you.
Andrew?
Yeah, so notice no criticisms about Andrew, more criticisms about a guy named Peter Wright, whose name is not Andrew, and how gynocentric theory is orchestrated and archetyped by Peter Wright and what Peter Wright wants. And Peter Wright.
Just tell her to stop using the term Peter Wright.
Instead, she asked me a question. You don't get to come to a debate and ask me what I think. Your job is to come in and show the proof and evidence. Show the evidence that whatever you think I believe gynocentrism is, that's what it is. Show any evidence of this. Your job's to build a case for your stupid fucking crazy worldview, not for me to answer your dumbass questions to try to build your worldview for you. I didn't address any of your points.
I really like
because you
Andrew
didn't
Wilson.
make any points. Here's what you need to do. And this is how you debate. And this is why
Andrew won't answer the question.
Your fucking lesson archetype. I'm not here to come in and give you your points for you so that you can then use a bunch of Q&A to try to get to the root of the thing that you think is problematic with me. You can do the Socratic method later in the debate, I suppose, but right now your job is to actually expound on a case that you make.
Natty, remove the marbles and try again. I can't understand her prattle.
By showing actual evidence, and right now I'm going to show you what's happened. You haven't shown any evidence for any of these
I think
claims.
she's like, she seems to be
evidence,
woefully
never
unprepared.
learns, Natty. Show us the evidence, never learns
for
her
this.
lesson, Natty.
That's what I
Where's
think.
the evidence of any of this? It's nice that you just went on a diatribe about what you think the etymology of the word gynocentrism is. What the fuck's that got to do with Andrew Wilson? We still don't know.
You know,
What's it got
I
to do with him?
honestly think that there. I appreciate what he's saying here. Of course, he's looking at this from a very male lens.
The claim that Andrew believes,
and she's going to probably return with a threat narrative of some kind, because that's what women do.
What you're saying is true.
Let's see if she does.
Natty,
Prediction made.
Can you show us any evidence?
Natty too.
Okay, Andrew. Rachel Wilson, your wife, she includes the theory in her book. And when we have previous encounter, we have numerous witnesses who admit that Rachel has been in guidance with Peter Wright, who was a paying member of her Patreon. And there's actually
Rachel said, I want to just, and speaking for Rachel, she said, according to her own words, Peter Wright supported her book and sent her DMs a few times, but she never really talked with him. This is what Rachel Wilson said. And most likely, Rachel Wilson didn't need Peter Wright's help writing her book, which she was already writing before he came into the picture, because he was supporting her writing the book.
Also, and Peter Wright represents a subset of gynocentrism theory related to courtly love.
Yes.
And you keep going on about how you don't know anything about Peter Wright, but your wife does. And she's admitted that on a space, and people have witnessed in her.
Yeah, she's admitted that she...
You can keep running away from this all you want, or you could actually answer the question and tell us whether you believe the West is gynocentric.
I think what she's trying to do is trap him in something. That's why she's asking questions to see where he stands on
more
stuff.
About how gynocentrism is not,
and then use that to sort of bludgeon him. I just want to point out for anybody that's watching,
that's not rooted in
Natty's only been Orthodox for a few years, and now she's a theologian. I'm just saying, I would not dare to try to be an apologist for that. I wouldn't dare.
I would like.
This
him
is why St. Paul said
you know,
that women should
try
stay
and
in the
live up
back.
to the ideals. he's
Well, you
I'm
do
sorry.
notice how her body language is getting small.
Live
That
by.
is
Yeah.
that is a physical
All right,
demonstration
I'm
of
done now.
threat.
You can keep going.
But the other thing is that
Answer the question, Andrew.
anything based on the
so I'd
Bible
like to note
recognizes that men cleave
that
emotionally to
instead of her
women.
demonstrating any
Which is
proof
basically
once again of her
gynocentrism.
claims, she wants me to answer her questions so that she can try to prove her claims. That she made this accusation. Here's the accusation that she made. Andrew and Rachel X. If Andrew, Rachel X, I would suppose that you would have some proof. She says that she can prove that Peter Wright was a member of Rachel's Patreon. Okay, show us the proof. She says that she can prove that Peter Wright was in contact with Rachel over the idea of
What does it
gynocentrism, and that
freaking
must be true
matter?
because this was included in her book. Okay, show us the proof. All I'm asking for, very simply, is for Natty, the accuser, and the person who made the claim, to show us the evidence of the claim. Instead, Natty continuously just says that I need to answer questions about some fucking perceived worldview she thinks I have. That's great. I'm glad that she really wants me to answer her questions. But if you have a debate prompt which says this X, Wilson X, right? Rachel this, Andrew this, you should be able to demonstrate these things using proof. What's the proof, Natty? I would really like to know. Now, so again, I can just say
the
this
fact that
over and over and over. And when we get to the Socratic part of the debate, you can ask me what you think that my definition of gynocentrism is. I think it's basically a meme. But the thing is like, ultimately, can you show us the proof now? Like, I'll actually wait. I'm going to hold right now. I won't say a word, and neither will Sarah. We'll stop the whole stream while you can pull up the proof and show it to us so we can see it. That's why I wanted to do this on video, so that there was no way for anybody to be confused about Natty's proof. She could pull it up via video and show it to us. So go ahead, Natty. All ears.
okay.
So
Well,
anyway, Orthodox anthropology says that that Adam was first.
Okay, but this is not
And
proof,
that we are
Natty.
made up of spirit and body and soul. The West, however, tends to view the human person and human being as mind and body and soul. Okay. And when you hear Andrew's talking points, when he says things,
He's like, "What are you talking about?" Look at him.
have the right to vote, and then tries to claim that it's a joke, but then actually,
apparently, if anybody has spoken to Peter Wright or gotten text
And
like
D-
tagged
DM.
in anything or follow him on X, you're all in on it.
The only
You guys know
reason
that?
viewpoint is out there is if you believe that
Okay,
the West
but
is gynocentric,
all right.
or you have
She's
what I
a
call
Christian. She's
Protestant
supposedly an Orthodox Christian.
of
Did
how
she miss the
gender
part about women
right?
submitting to men's
So
authority?
how Andrew views gender roles, from what
No
I
idea.
have gathered from Andrew,
Isn't that incompatible with women having a vote?
in the complementarian Protestant narrative, which focuses
Natty
on
is
the
giving
body
blue
over the
crystals
mind,
energy.
and he focuses
Oh,
his whole
good
time
grief.
criticizing the egalitarian position, which I would say
It's
focuses
pronounced
on the mind and
egalitarian.
body.
Egalitarian.
Egalitarian.
Women should
I like
vote
that.
It sounds like
in
a character from a
complementarian
pulp
position.
novel.
In
Like,
fact,
So this is now a minute and a half
any
that she's
adherence
been
to the
nattering
position,
and has
then he
not
wouldn't be
given any
saying it.
proof
And if he
of
didn't
what
believe
he
the West
requested.
was gynocentric, he also wouldn't be saying that too.
Sorry,
He'd be
Brian, I'm starting to
formulating
feel
his
like this is
arguments in a
pointless.
different manner. But he doesn't do that. He just goes out there and says these really like arrogant things to women. And because he thinks he can intimidate
Arrogant.
them
Oh,
and then
threat
play
narrative.
rhetorical devices against them, he avoids actually being held accountable, which is ironic because he's supposed to be representing the patriarchy. You're not the patriarchy, Andrew. You're a young man or an adolescent male, even.
Andrew.
And
Okay, so
insults.
anyway, I would just like to point out that after all this incessant prattling, here's the thing that we didn't get. Isn't it amazing
Proof.
that I told you that I would outline this entire debate strategy, and Never Learns Natty still would fall prey to it. I asked her for this thing.
She is literally using.
That we didn't actually get from Natty was any proof. So Natty starts by making this claim. Andrew says women shouldn't vote. Where? Proof?
She says,
Proof,
okay,
Natty.
I just
Where's
need to
the
explain
proof,
this because we
Natty?
all know that
Well,
she's going to
Natty's
talk
proof
about her
is
not getting
she made
proof.
it the fuck up.
Notice what Natty is
National
doing
vote
here,
on suffrage
because this is
that we should
important.
move back,
The overarching
to the
thing here.
terms where almost nobody could vote. It has nothing to do
He is
specifically with
using
women at all.
her control
Nothing.
as a
Zero.
woman over his
Nothing to do
identity.
with it.
Oh,
And in
you're
fact, if you
immature.
enforce
You're
my
not a
system,
real
women would
patriarch.
probably be
You
able to
haven't
vote
shown the
because it would be
authority
stakeholder
necessary for me to
democracy.
recognize.
Now
She's
you
using
up in her
gynocentrism to try to win
story,
the argument.
right?
She's using
You
what she
never
says doesn't
demonstrated
exist to try to
because
win the
she made it
argument.
the fuck up.
Her
Just like
emotional
all this stuff with
control,
Peter Wright.
her
Now,
judgment over
luckily
her
for
right
you,
to
Natty,
judge men,
while I know
that this
that
isn't
you
an
cannot show
incomprehensible
any
thing that
proof
she
of
said. A
your
woman
claims of
saying, oh, well, you're not a
disconnection,
real man. Well, how the hell would you know? You're a
did
woman,
bring the receipts.
right? Nobody's going
So
to tell
now I
her
can show
that.
them to you
She's using that to
publicly
try to control the
and
argument.
prove that you're a
You see what I'm saying,
conspiracy
Brian?
fucking theorist
And yet
wacko.
she
Now, if
denies
you'll humor
that
me,
women
Wait,
are
he's
granted.
he's bringing receipts.
receipts up. If you'll yield your next 2 minutes to me, I'll pull the receipts up and we can go over them, Natty, right now live, and we can finally put to rest your fucking insane allegations. Can we do that or not, Natty? Are you actually here for the truth, or are you just here to show zero proof of any claims, or do you actually want to go through the evidence? Because if you do, I came loaded with receipts today.
This
I'll
won't
give you the
make a
option,
dent.
Natty, if you want to yield over. You
He's
don't
not
have
trying to change her mind.
I think Andrew needs to answer my question and smoke his fag a bit stronger. Just put it in your mouth, mate. Come on, you know, it's in your hand. It's going to burn out if you keep doing that.
This is why I don't have a problem
Right?
insulting her.
Yeah, so this is what I think Andrew really should be talking about. This is a really good teaching.
What
by
you
a
think?
theologian called Dr. Batisis. He's on X as City is Liturgy, if anyone wants to follow him. And this is taken from his book, The Ethics of Beauty. He talks about how the sexes have a mutualism between them, and it actually reflects how Orthodox views the Trinity. When Andrew and some of the other guys in his circle start having a little jerk off about the monarchical position of the father, sometimes that gets a little bit misrepresented, because in Orthodoxy, all three persons of the Trinity are co-equal
What the
in
fuck does
status.
this?
Okay, so they can't exist without each other, clearly, because they were at the beginning.
Like
and
literally, all
yeah.
she has
But at
is
the same time,
lightweight
they have a different
like
role, a different
theosophical
order.
interpretations
So,
and accusing
Mhm.
people of
the
Peter
way
Wright
Dr.
with
Batisis
no
does this,
receipts
he talks about how we have to be Christ-like
of
as men
being
and
Peter
women.
Wright.
We need to be the prophet, the priest, and the king, like how Christ was in the New
So
Testament.
essentially,
And it
men need
says
to
that
take
women have the
responsibility
primary
for
office of
women.
prophet,
Is she going to
and men
submit
have
to
the
that
primary office of
responsibility?
king, and they are to achieve that in a priestly manner. When Andrew starts talking about gender roles and how men and women should be, he uses a fundamentalist Protestant framework that some of his clergy buddies that are unfortunately engaging the Protestantism of Orthodoxy online, like Father Trenham and Father Moses McPherson, Andrew actually repeats the talking points in the same framework as they do. Father Moses McPherson says a rather heretical line where he says that Eve ate the apple because she wanted to dominate her husband in the video where he talks about why modern marriage failed. And he attributes that to St. Isaac the Syrian. Now, I'm wondering if Andrew Wilson agrees with that, because that's backwards theologically.
Why?
I mean, if you'd like, I can bring Father McPherson on this panel right this second, and you can say that to his face.
Oh, Father Moses
Would you like to
McPherson,
have
let's
your
go.
here so that you can discuss
That's the
this?
guy. That's the
bring
weightlifting
it on.
priest.
Okay, I'll reach out to him right this second.
Sure.
Sarah, over in your DMs, I sent you a couple of messages. Can you start with
Only
the?
if I get to bring someone
He
else.
still
on the
hasn't
panel.
proven their
Why? I don't
assertion.
understand. You're making the
then
accusation
we
against
can
these
be
people.
equal.
You're making the
Well,
accusations. Why do
If
you?
you want me to be against two people, then we need to make
Well,
it
it's
so
you're not
we
against
can
two
win.
people. I wouldn't even say a word. But anyway,
Stop for a second.
yeah.
I need
If you could
to
bring up
be able
the
to pull these
evidences,
up.
that would be
Give me a
great.
second.
Smoke your cigarette,
I'm
Andrew.
going to.
Oh God,
Bear
she's
with me
And I'm
just a
going to
moment,
completely
please.
eviscerate you right this second using the thing that you refuse to bring to this debate. Proof and evidence of any of your claims. But I'm about to give you proof and evidence of mine. Incontrovertible proof.
Stand by for just a second. You caught me a little.
okay.
off
So
guard.
while they're doing
Bring
this,
up
this is
without showing all
women
my other shit.
aren't going
Bear
to
with me
change
a
because you
second.
give them proof.
Drop
They're only going to
Because you
change.
what? Bring them proof.
Give them proof. They're only
Yeah.
going to change if you refuse to allow them the emotional dominance that Natty's seeking here. And the funny thing is that she is again appealing to her ability as a woman to judge men's worth, social worth. That's what she's doing to Andrew Wilson. She's a little bit of threat narrating, but a lot of shaming his identity as a man under the presumption that that's not insane or ridiculous to do, which requires believing that women have some position by which to judge men's identity. That's gynocentrism. That is
demonstrating it, right?
Yeah, she's demonstrating it right here.
It's not playing well.
Now, I know that this has all been like pushed down into her showing her evidence, and she's never going to do it. Or if she does, this isn't going to be sufficient to
well, we're not Natty's never going to change her mind. This isn't about that. I'm looking at the process. But I want to point out that Natty is calling Father Moses a heretic. Father Moses has been he was ordained into the holy priesthood on June 2nd, 2013 by Bishop Mark, administrator of the Diocese of Eastern Pennsylvania,
not letting me,
All Saints Orthodox Church in Oliphant, Pennsylvania. He has been a priest for 12 years. And she's telling us that he's not real. And she's been in the church for what, like 5, maybe 4?
Yeah, well, no, not 5, because
like 3 or 4 years.
3 or 4 years. And she talks like, I wanted to address this. She talks about how she is a former men's rights activist, but she confesses that the reason why she was part of men's rights activism was because of some kind of emotional thing that she got out of it, which was, I guess she had a very conflicted relationship with her mother. So she got to be able to express that, I guess, anger towards women within the movement. And I'm like, yeah, that's entirely possible. Like, I also had a conflicted relationship with my mother. But at some point, if you're going to be part of these issues, you have to ask yourself, why am I here? Am I here just to indulge an emotional need, which may be anger towards women, expressing anger towards women, or am I here to help men? And I don't think she ever got over the idea that this is not a place where you get those, you know, like you do that, you get a selfish need met. You get what I'm saying? Like, you're not supposed to be here because you hate women or you're angry at women. You're supposed to be here because you love men and you want to see them treated better. And I think women can get to that point. Like, the women who are part of the movement can have to make that choice. And Natty made the choice that, you know, once she resolved her anger towards women, she didn't have love towards men to keep her going. So she left. But her entire involvement was selfish. And it's like, yeah, lots of people get into movements for selfish reasons. And I mean, ultimately caring about men, I guess you could argue at some level that's a selfish reason, because, you know, there's something in you that wants to not just see compassion for men, but just can't stand the disingenuous bullshit that's used to keep men down. But you know, you get to that point where you have to ask yourself why you're doing what you're doing. And Natty did, and I guess she resolved whatever it was she herself was getting out of the movement, and she left. She went to Orthodox or whatever weird version.
You should read it, and I think you should do it.
She sent something to him.
Try and be like.
Okay. She's trying to make this entertaining. I don't know what that's
this
about.
Isn't even the beginning of the series. Let me.
He got a messages from Peter Wright that he's bringing up. Oh, there we go. And this is, again, I know that the debate is supposedly about, like, you know, how Rachel and Andrew are not truly Orthodox and they're like secret fundies or something, but they are. She is using Peter Wright as the bludgeon and by extension the men's movement. She also lame dropped Paul Elam. So this is not like, we're not divorced from this at all. I mean, like, she is embittered because the MRM, I guess, for whatever reason, wasn't what she thought it was going to be. And instead of like dealing with her own issues that may have been like the side effect of that or the impetus for her entering it, she is just blaming us for existing.
I just heard
and throwing us in a bucket. But here we go.
And then also assuming that somebody like me has the same emotional reasons for being part of the men's rights movement as she did.
Patreon conversation.
It's like, well, yeah, it's possible.
We both know.
But I also very
I
much
can't
remember
ever
making
talking
the
with you on
decision: am I
Patreon.
here
I
to
never
hate women or
visit
be angry at
Patreon.
women, or am I here
Do
to
you
care
have
about
any
men?
recollection of that?
And I'm like, yeah,
So
I'm here to
he
care
wants-
about
so
men.
This guy actually wants to make sure, like, am I crazy? Am I crazy, or did this just like
I
never
gotta
happen?
increase the volume so I
And he
stop
says,
talking over
quote,
it.
unless my memory is failing, it's completely fabricated. Really can't stand that bitch. Now, he continues from there. So we'll stop that one, and I'll move on to
Is that
evidence.
Peter Wright talking about
these
Natty?
are Peter Wright talking, yeah,
One
to
second.
Andrew Wilson about Natty, I think. So Andrew Wilson's pulling up his DMs or something, or Rachel's. I'm not sure.
Okay,
He's picking it
so
up.
it's all quiet again.
Hey, Dean.
But this is
Dean,
this is
Natty, how you doing?
Oh, she's bringing in Dean Esme.
oh good
the
grief.
fuck?
This is really becoming
Oh,
blood
shit.
sports,
It's
internet
turning
blood
into
sports.
it's officially a tag team match now.
Yeah. Okay, that's gonna be some interesting crap. Dean got upset at me because I criticized Christianity.
Silence while he's pulling up
Yeah.
the next DM, please.
I remember
Okay,
he called you
This is
Marxists.
the
He
last
said
Yeah.
we were all Marxists.
Yeah, we're Marxists.
Okay.
Apparently.
I don't.
And
Like I said, a lot of these individuals, all they do is load up the shotgun with their
simply
label
says
du
this.
jour and then hit you with it. Ah, you're a Peter Wright puppet. Ah, you're a theosophist.
Yep.
Ah,
Simply
you're
says, it's funny you should say that.
anarcho-capitalist.
Because I don't remember having any exchange on your Patreon
Oh,
either.
good Lord,
I
this is
also
not
went
going to
the
be
space
very
where she
functional.
claims Dean provided proof of that, and I didn't see it anywhere. Anywhere. She just lies. She's so obsessive. Also, my book was published in 2021, and I don't think you and I interacted whatsoever until at least a couple of years after that, Natty. So it's hard for me to understand how you could have mentioned me and told me what to write, LOL. So, Natty, this is really fucking weird, Natty. So what I just gave you was gave you... Well, why are you on the phone during a live debate, Natty? Why are you on the phone?
I'm listening. You want me to give some more
Can you
proof?
respond? Can you
for
respond to the evidences that I... Natty,
Finish, bro. You
This
haven't
mess is
finished, have
fucking
you?
crazy.
can you
I don't know what
respond?
you're doing.
Good
Natty,
Lord,
can you
this is-
respond now to the two evidences that I just...
This is pretty much what I thought it would be.
Okay. Natty, I'm going to ask you very politely to take this a little more seriously. I understand that maybe sometimes when we get pinned in a corner, we don't like what we're hearing. We get a little antsy, doing
Whoa.
awkward things.
Yeah,
I
but
get
any-
it.
Oh wow, Sarah. I like how she's like
to those
it's
so
a
that was
little
proof
a little
from Peter Wright,
infantilizing, but I'm here for
that not only are your claims completely fictitious on the Patreon, which you've shown no proof for, but that the time sequence for Rachel's book wouldn't have even added up between that and their interactions. Now, I'm willing right now to give you the floor. You can take all the same time I just did to pull up the proof. Can you please show us your evidences to the contrary?
She's trying to get Dean in. Oh,
She's
good
trying to
Lord.
get Dean to talk.
Clusterfuck.
Uh,
Oh my God. That's a
Dean is
flash
like,
in the
oh my
past.
God.
Good
Oh
Lord.
my God, it's a throwback,
I'm
guys.
going to ask you very kindly. I don't know who that is on your end of the line.
I
but
don't
they are
care,
not
Sarah.
a
Let it go.
portion-
Yeah, let's go. I'll
Let's
take you
go.
all
Let's
on.
do it.
no worries, Dean. I'm sorry to do this to you last minute.
Is this the kind of content you guys want? Like
So
just a complete
Dude,
clusterfuck?
do you know how many people are watching this live stream right now?
How many?
4,000 4,847 people are watching that.
He's never had a conversation
So-
with Rachel Wilson, even though Rachel.
Can I use a lifeline?
What did the DM actually say, Natty?
Andrew, have a
Oh.
drag of your cigarette, bro. I said he asked me to produce a little bit more of a receipt. So
Yeah,
all I'm
where's the
doing is
receipts?
asking you to say what you told us in the interview on X, and then you can get back to doing whatever you're doing. Thank you very much.
Peter Wright is a master gaslighter and of picking out screenshots.
Oh, God.
We're just looking for the receipts, dude.
Oh, good
Bullshit
Lord.
narratives for
Oh,
himself.
good
One of the most
Lord.
dishonest slime balls I ever met in the men's movement.
Good luck, Andrew. You're now dealing with Dean.
That's what I actually said. If things I'm wrong, that's fine. He's one of the most dishonest, hateful, and slanderous human beings who ever existed. Quote me as bad as Dean Esme from the Red Pill movie, who, by the way, he slandered multiple times. I'm not even a Christian anymore, but I was always a liberal one, and Peter Wright is.
I don't care about Peter Wright. Can you just give me the proof?
One of his allies
This is starting to get
badgering the witness and has not given
psychotic.
proper preparation.
I just want the receipts, dude. That's all I'm asking for.
You don't take an account of the
the professional
And the
gaslighter.
productivity of this stream goes to zero.
I would walk away, sir. I'm out now. Call me sometime if you want.
I don't care about Peter Wright. Just show me the receipts of any of these.
Thank
That's
you,
all I'm
Dean.
asking
Thank you,
for.
Dean. So,
That
Dean
was-
Esmail, by the way, is somebody who was a well-known men's rights activist who edited Peter Wright's work. And then he said to Peter Wright, because he was a Roman Catholic at the time, and he said, listen, Peter, your writings about the Theotokos, where you try to claim that women have the archetype of the Virgin Mary, the Theotokos, and men have the archetype of Christ, it's incorrect. And I, as much as I want to support your work,
Who
on men's rights,
cares
I
what
cannot
Peter
believe
was
that
writing?
He got
Like-
slandered by a Voice for Men and Honey Badger Radio and other individuals.
Answer! Oh, we got a name drop. Hey.
Yay.
Even though he was a Vatican II supporting
We
Catholic.
didn't. Did we slander
He
Dean?
was
I
the one
don't
who
recall.
said
I
I think he slandered me.
was having conversations with Peter Wright on her Patreon, and he also came and did an interview with me on X. And Rachel has admitted this herself.
Oh, no,
She's
actually, he
spoken about
went on,
gynocentrism theory
It was
in
the other
her book.
Andrew, the guy who lit his nipples on fire. He went on
Everything is so gynocentric
history.
now that
He
simply
was
being
part of the
direct or strong
blood
language
sports.
is
Remember
now
that?
considered narcissistic and
Dean
abusive.
went
People are
on
deeply programmed to
his
never make
stream
women,
with
feel
a
uncomfortable, or else
a
they
men's
risk
rights
total
activist named
personal
Mad Cat,
destruction. That's one tweet.
and they
Let's read another
slandered
one.
me
Hang on a
and
minute.
Honey Badger Radio.
Another one.
But I don't even know what they
where's
said
the-
anymore.
Oh, according to our gynocentric
Natty is
university
connecting
society,
dots like
women serving their
Schizo
husbands
Charlie
abused,
Day
but
and It's
also
Always Sunny.
husband
It's
not
completely
serving their wife.
unsupported.
Andrew's face is like, what the fuck is this? Answer for it, Andrew! Answer!
This clip has made so many
Answer
women
for this
angry.
nest of
Tired, it proves that
chaos!
radical folks
We
are
made it,
right.
guys. We got shouted out in an 8,000
Everything is so
8,000
gynocentric, men are not
people.
allowed
How
to
many
have
people was it
preferences.
again?
Only women are
No,
women,
five.
unconditional
Some
about
like
preferring
5,000. It's
influence men.
5,000
Let's
viewers right now.
Woohoo! I'm here for the shout outs. Thank you, Natty.
No problem. Just give me
Appreciate
a
it.
second. I keep saying that I
Good
don't.
lord.
hate
You know
women.
what?
What
It
I
would
will
be
say is
nice
I
to
have
just
respect
have
for
a
the kind of
reasonable
women in our
debate about
feminist,
gynocentrism.
society tends
You know,
to
just
produce.
go on to
Us
something
being
like this
capable of
and then just talk
self-reflection,
about it.
allergic
Talk
to
about the various
criticism, black
branches, the
holes,
various
and need endless
interpretations, the
validation.
science
Yes, I find
behind it,
those
and
women
what it means for
reprehensible,
society.
and they should be admonished.
Gynocentrism.
Yeah, but instead, Andrew Wilson is now introduced to the nest of crazy that the men's rights movement has been dealing with for 10 years. Like Andrew, she's name dropping all of the crazies that we've had to. Oh God, I went back. I've gone back like years.
Oh, now she. Did you see what she did?
What?
She's asking Andrew if he disagrees with his own wife about his views. So she's trying to like.
Is it my turn to respond?
I'm still waiting.
Okay, I'm going to start back with the timer again now that
Thank
we've got
you.
the
Thank you
proof
very
out of the
much,
way.
Sarah.
Good Lord, Sarah, I feel for you.
Natty go through whatever her little spurk fest there was, but I want you to note something here that's very important. What I just brought up was actual evidence.
Stop grinning
receipts.
like that.
I brought up receipts which disproved this narrative from Natty that there was some type of I don't know, collusion between Rachel when she wrote her book. Remember, Natty made this claim just mere moments ago that Rachel's book, because, and by the way, there's no gynocentrism chapter I'm aware of in the book, but she says apparently that the book mentions this somewhere and is talking and discussing this, and that these ideas came from this guy, Peter Wright. But we just established a timeline where that can't be possible. And it was from Peter Wright's own mouth and Rachel's, where they both claimed that this never happened. The only one who claims that it happened is fucking Natty. And the only one who can't show proof is Natty. The only one who can't show proof of any of this collusion is Natty. Same thing when it comes to this crazy ass idea that she says that there was some type of patriotism.
She's taunting him. That's all.
I'm
She's
willing
got
to grant that
nothing.
there could have been. Show us the proof. Show us the evidence. Just show us the fucking proof. If not, all you have to do is this. And this is why Never Learns Natty. You'll never get it, right? Never Learns Natty right now could completely stomp all over me. All she would have to do is show the proof that Rachel and Peter Wright are lying by showing some sort of messaging between her and Peter Wright, showing that they colluded both on her book, or that they ever even had contact on
Olav says, Smoky Man bad. Also, she knows better than clergymen, apparently.
Why is
Yes.
that so difficult?
Very strange,
No,
isn't
she's
it?
never going to show you proof.
Why can't she
No.
just say,
She's
No,
just
but
enjoying this.
that's all he has to do to
totally
win.
wrong,
Is
and I
basically
made
say,
all
look,
of that
she
up
never,
because
she
I
never
I
made
think
her.
she might actually have a
all
personality
she has to do
disorder.
is that. Why won't she do it?
Natty.
Well, right at the buzzer.
Are you
there.
calling Dean Esme a liar? Dean Esme?
I'll call her Dean Esme a liar. What? He doesn't even know Dean Esme.
Yeah, right. The Dean Esme?
Yes, he's a fucking liar. Show me the proof.
How do you know he's
Because
a
he
liar?
has no proof and I do.
You don't have proof.
I just showed it. Where's yours? I'm waiting.
You haven't shown proof at all, dude.
What were the messages that I just showed?
He read out 4 tweets by Rachel that all talk
Those are
about her
DMs,
use of
but-
gonocentric
So what?
theory, and
Doesn't
you
mean it means the
completely
same
ignored
thing.
it. You do actually.
This shit exhausts me,
So what?
Brian.
It doesn't mean that that's
Like,
what
this
Peter
is-
Wright means
this
by
is-
it. So what?
This is 99%
No, you're
noise.
deflecting. Show us the proof.
No, you're deflecting.
Show
Yeah.
us
Give me
your
the
proof.
It's 99%
Rachel's
noise.
version of
Would the
gynos.
moderator like to step
Listen.
in and say whether or not my proof is good enough?
And fundamentally,
Yes,
it just
okay, here's the
represents
proof I'm looking
the
for.
difference between how men communicate and
Here's
how
the
women
proof I'm
communicate.
looking
Women
for.
on an extreme of
One
a
the
spectrum.
interesting things
Yeah.
about
Okay.
debate is
She
that
just wants him to submit
Let's
to her
do
emotional
part of it.
opinions about his
Moment.
manhood.
I'm gonna-
That's it.
I'm gonna go ahead and
That's what
Yeah.
she's there for.
Seems that way.
Pardon
And
me.
he's there. Show me the proof. She's never going to show it. The point is to taunt you, to humiliate you, and make you submit to what she believes your manhood, what her appraisal of who you are as a man, Andrew. That's why she's
Asking
there.
me questions, yeah.
I recognize that, so I just wanted to
it was-
clarify.
it was-
Look, you can
that.
reset the
But-
timer, and then I'll
No
do the
problem. I'm
response.
not
It's
complaining
fine.
about it. I'm fine. No problem.
You can reset the
However,
timer.
Dean,
comma, if
I
we
remember
ask
way back
questions
when,
we
and this
want
is,
answers. Let's ensure that
I
we stop
told the
and wait
people
for the
at
answers
A
instead
Voice
of
for Men that
talking
Dean was
over,
going to be a
because
problem
all anybody hears is
when I
just
was working there.
and nobody can hear you. Okay, I will reset the timer. We can try this again. Go ahead, Natty.
It's actually
Yes,
why I
no
left.
problem.
I mean, I don't want to
So
Left the
I
voice for
would like
men.
to talk
I was originally, I
about
worked on helping them
the
edit
issue
and
of
stuff.
Yeah.
And
Renai
I
from
just
the
got into
opposition.
like a fight with
All right,
Dean.
so let's have a look at what he
And
has to say.
I said that, like, I think that he's going to be
says
trouble.
That we should be
And,
grateful to Christ.
And we couldn't resolve it. So I said, like,
Our
I'm going to go
church
and I'm going to continue because I had my own
Still
blog,
social
Gender Attic, at
club,
the time. I'm just going to
where we
continue
get
that.
to have
And no,
our
make
beliefs
no hard
about gender
feelings.
roles,
If,
masculinity,
but it
femininity,
just is
and
interesting
try and
that
hear
Dean ended
what
up
the church
being
teaches about
this.
that. That's what he says. He literally wrote a sermon in response to Father Moses McPherson's article in the BBC, where he was talking about how orthodoxy is so masculine, right?
No, Father Moses did not say that. The article was written in the slant of making it seem like that's what he was saying, because the BBC knew that if they framed orthodoxy as masculine or even hyper masculine, then people would be discrediting it because they fear or hate masculinity, which Natty has fallen prey to if she believes the BBC article claim. Like, she believes Father Moses is saying that, like, orthodoxy is hyper masculine. No, he never claimed that. This is literally a misrepresentation. She's buying into what the BBC said about Father Moses and now thinks that's what Father Moses believes. Holy shit. Please bring on Father Moses. I would love to see him live on here. I would send a super chat for that.
Office of the King, according to Dr. Batisis and Orthodox
Great Endorse says this is an entertaining stream. Thank you.
Then you are supposed to be leading in
Dean
your
Really?
Yes, we got cameos.
Wait, this is a great endorse. This is like 99%
It
noise.
doesn't come from you going on the internet and calling a bunch of OnlyFans.
This, she's like a noise machine. She is like a pink noise machine.
Wait. He's talking about she's
shaming them and making them
how he's shaming like these OnlyFans girls.
All right, back to you, Andrew.
And that's
Yes,
not
because
Christ-like.
they're freaking like
Notice that Natty makes a
in the
series of
context
claims
of
we still don't have any evidence
Christianity.
for.
Aren't
She
they
says
supposed
that we were
to,
called out by some clergy somewhere?
confess
Show
of
us.
their sin
Show
and
us this call out.
let it go
Also,
and
you
sin no
say,
more?
Bishops have come to me and corrected me. Show me. Like, show me any of the evidence of it. What are you talking about? Also, when it comes to this, your very first claim was that Rachel's book was, and somehow she conspired with this guy, Peter Wright, to write all about gynocentrism from the etymological worldview of Peter Wright and what he means by gynocentrism. I have been willing over and over again to, in the most good faith way, allow you to show your evidence for that claim. Not a correlate where you say, oh, she says things in the book that I think sound similar or whatever. Show the actual evidence that they did. Show it, because I just demonstrated proof that they could not have. It would not have even been possible based on the timeline. Literally, it would have been impossible. The next claim that you made was very simple. You said that they had a Patreon connection. Yes, you did. And you said it multiple times that they had a Patreon connection, and that via this Patreon connection, they were also colluding with the same view of gynocentrism that this guy holds. I'm also willing to grant the possibility of this, and in a good faith way, hold out an olive branch so that you can show the fucking proof, Natty. And here's what's going to happen again. Natty's going to say, I'd like to pull up what some guy said about some other bullshit that doesn't address this core issue, because I refuse to admit that I'm wrong about anything, because I've never learned Natty. Natty has been caught on this I don't know how many times. I'll always be able to do this to her because she refuses to back down on the view.
She's seeking your moral submission to her.
I just showed evidence. I showed real proof.
Which is really freaking ironic for a Christian woman,
she's still
supposedly.
Watch. She's going to double down. No proof.
Natty, to you.
Fascinating how when we have debates,
She doesn't understand the term proof. She's giving proof. She's showing you her feminine contempt for your identity, Wilson. That's her proof. That's her purpose.
Logic and examining what the other person's viewpoints are. Fascinating how Andrew cannot do that. He cannot actually have a back and forth with me.
Oh God, this is the no you. Now she's just repeating his criticism of her back to him. You notice that?
Which I believe are rooted in a Protestant.
This is why I actually wonder if women are conscious.
He's received advice from Father Trenham
because she's a pink noise generator. She does no use. Like, he criticizes her progression of her logic or lack thereof, and then she doesn't know you.
Of what he says,
and then all she does is she taunts and she mimes. You know how I said that a lot of the sophistry on her side, I don't know what her side is, but at least the people who act in this way in a context of trying to advance human knowledge, they do miming. They mime. She's miming his tiny masculinity, like little masculinity, maybe even homosexual. Like, she's miming this because she's trying to create an emotion that people will buy into around him. That's her argument. It has nothing to do with logic. It's the feminine argument. And ironically, at its core is the idea that she is the reflection of his masculinity. In other words, what she says about his masculinity is what it actually is. That's what it relies on. Like she said, she was a demonstration of gynocentrism.
Abuse in a marriage is okay as long as you.
And I'm guessing she's not giving proof, even though I'm talking over her.
To you, Andrew.
Great. Let's respond to this. So, first and foremost, never met Father Trenham. Never taken any advice from him. Do you have any evidence for that? Do you, including the space that you're referencing? Because you've brought this up multiple times that I listened to Father Trenham or something like this. Never met the guy, ever, not once. Never had a conversation with him, Natty, not once. So what does Natty do? She says, this is an attribute that I'm going to give to this guy who's not Andrew Wilson, and then try to create a link between these two. Therefore, his view becomes inserted on Andrew Wilson's view. However, I would love to see any evidence whatsoever I've ever even had a conversation.
This is what she does.
Like one. I don't recall ever having one conversation with this guy, Natty. Not a single.
Because I don't know. I think she just has associative thinking.
To Father Trenham, not once.
You know what I mean?
I am willing again to.
These two things are alike, therefore they are the same.
Present the evidence that I take spiritual advice from this guy, which is a claim you just made, instead of my own spiritual father, right? Because I don't take spiritual advice from anybody except my spiritual father.
Does she have problems with emotional regulation?
Right? I don't even run in those circles. I don't run
because she's acting like a 4-year-old or a toddler.
Various. I don't even run in those circles. So I don't know what you mean when you say.
But you know what it is?
advice
She's
from these
trying
other
to
people.
control the
What I would
emotional
like is
center
your
in
evidence
order
Mhm.
to
for this
project
new claim that you
what
made,
her
that I'm somehow associated
emotional
with Father
conclusions
Trevor, or
around
that I'm taking spiritual
Andrew
advice from
Wilson.
him,
She's
and that
trying
I
to
agree
project
with
them
what
onto
he
the
says about
audience.
A, B, C, or
It's like
D.
I talk about
And the
how
reason that these
in a movie
burdens of proof fall on you,
something will
Maddie, is
happen,
because
a
you're the
person will
one
be
making
introduced,
the
an event will
claims,
happen, and
Natty.
then
So
we'll
if you make the
cut
claim,
to a
the
woman's
proof is on
reaction.
you to
That's what
demonstrate the
Maddie's
claim.
trying to do
That's
here.
all I'm asking you to
She's
do.
trying to
Because
be
if I
the
make
reaction in
your
order to
answers just
dominate
demonstrate
the
that this is the case.
discussion.
Go ahead.
Maddie, to you.
Dominate the discussion
Okay, Andrew,
emotionally.
if you keep running and running and running from the claims and hiding behind this burden, this idea of the burden of proof, and it only has to be a certain way that you
Your
No.
claims,
fact that you
you
think
make a
listen.
claim, the burden of
She
proof is
literally
on
has
you.
fucking nothing. This is
Let's
funny.
read out a tweet that you said. Let's read this one out. Let's go to this tweet here.
I'm glad you're enjoying
Obligations
this
are
great indoors
necessary.
because it just sounds
Is
like
necessary,
fucking noise to
sorry,
me.
especially with women in our gynocentric simpocalypse. If people are saying what's true, I want to see it because it's in capital letters. Sorry, I had to shout. So that's one tweet where Andrew has used the term gynocentrism by name. Is he going?
Yeah,
to
but
tell
your
us that
assertion is that he's tied to the Peter Wright version of gynocentrism.
You used the term gynocentrism.
Anyway, I have already stated that I believe, from what I've discussed with Andrew before in the space,
I believe.
Examining his.
I figured this out. I can read minds.
Debates.
Women have to stop with the telepathy.
Yeah.
It's a woman thing. I don't know why you guys do it. You need to stop. You need to just ask
Because
people
men
questions.
concede to it. Honestly.
Well, a lot of men do, but
And it's because of gynocentrism, which is simply
this idea of the burden of proof. What you doing?
She's mimicking. She has a particular way that people want to perceive Andrew Wilson emotionally, and she's miming it.
Talks about how chivalry became about.
It's like watching people argue in two different dimensions at the same time. They know that they are opposed.
Well, I think one person's arguing in 3 dimensions and one person's arguing in 1 dimension. That's why they're not near the twain shall meet.
If you would like
Perhaps.
to see it.
She's essentially mimicking how people should respond emotionally to Andrew Wilson.
Okay, so who cares if I say the word gynocentric? It's such a common word. Who gives a shit? What your burden of proof is?
Don't mean anything.
Yeah, what your burden of proof is very simple. You just
Good Lord, thank you, Sarah.
You just claimed that I've been in DMs with Peter Wright. Okay, would you like for me to read all of them? I will literally read every DM I've ever had with Peter Wright for you right now live. And I'll give you the date stamps.
Answer. You haven't responded.
Yeah, I know, Natty. This is your.
Me, so I'm gonna shut
this
up.
is your claim. I've just asked you yes or no. Would you like for me?
He's now proving her claim, proving or disproving her claim, which is not his responsibility. I can't believe it. He's taking responsibility for her.
Natty,
Okay.
I just
So
yes or no. Yes or no.
I use the word,
Natty.
Okay. I'm getting quite annoyed at the constant childish behavior.
Thank you,
Maddie,
Sarah.
is it yes or no? Do you want him to read them? Yes or no?
I would like him to answer the question.
So-
That's not. It is his timer.
It's not the. But that's not the debate topic. The debate topic is not what is Andrew Wilson's definition of gynocentrism. That's why he doesn't have to answer it, because it has nothing to do with it. She's using this other claim as the
how do you spell this guy's
pretense,
last name?
and she can't prove the claim.
Is
So
it
there's no
Okay.
point in pursuing this further.
Could we just like?
Because he's like trying to spell this guy's name.
I really
I mean, what?
want this to be productive, and I know it won't be. I know, but I mean, we could just say instead of what she said, be it resolved.
I get a lot of messages.
Gynocentrism exists, right?
Why
and then
that's
we can have a
pulled up, and I
discussion on
promise
that.
I'll read every
And we
single
could
DM
look
I've
at
ever had
it
with this guy
rationally.
right now, live.
I know that's not
With
going to
everybody.
happen with Natty.
No problem
It could
with that
happen with someone,
whatsoever.
but not Natty.
In fact, maybe I might be able to do this an easier way. What's his X handle?
At gynocentrism.
Okay, at
Hmm.
gyno.
Oh, good. Okay, so it's dead air now. Can I talk?
Sure.
Like
I mean,
this
they're
is
about to talk soon, but go ahead.
yeah, about the same damn like this is the same noise. the same, are you going to answer for Peter Wright's opinion on gynocentrism and Andrew Wilson? And Andrew Wilson says, no, there's no proof that we have an association. And then Natty says, but you use the term gynocentrism, apparently not willing to acknowledge the fact that gynocentrism is bigger than Peter Wright's interpretation of gynocentrism.
Yeah.
Like, there are other facets to it that we can discuss. Karen has a different interpretation of gynocentrism from Peter Wright. I probably have a different interpretation than Karen.
Kind reminder,
right? And I even have a positive interpretation of gynocentrism. When women take responsibility, society improves. That's gynocentrism.
She will have a very vast appreciation.
Yeah, but does it take into account the Theotokos?
What that feels like.
Because if it does, then you fail.
Yeah,
I guess anybody who knows you should also be discredited, including everyone watching this live stream.
Theotokos. I mean, it
all
does
discredited
sort of,
because Theotokos.
it seems that responsibility is more of a natural instinct for men, so women sort of have to learn it from men in a way.
That if you don't mean
so I guess that's promoting androgyny.
The word cool, for instance, the word
and the
cool
irony is that Christianity actually,
he's explaining that it does have many different meanings
today. And so what she does is she banks on this idea. She literally just banks on this fucking idea that for some reason, when I say gynocentrism or my wife says gynocentrism, that means what Peter Wright means by gynocentrism. The most important aspect here, though, is that Natty has still failed over and over and over again to show us the one thing that I want her to show. Proof and evidence of her claims that Rachel worked in collusion with this guy in order to write her book. I demonstrated a timeline where that is false, that I have in any way ever worked with Josiah Trenum or had any spiritual advice from him, that in any way, shape, or form I've ever colluded with this guy in any way for any of my worldviews. If she can demonstrate any of those things, she might have a good case to make. But she consistently wants to shift the burden to me as though I have to prove her prompt and her case for why I bad. It's like, I don't. You have to do that. You got to prove that, not me.
Okay. Natty.
Let's just point out that Andrew has said that when he used the word gynocentrism, it was just a word, bro. Didn't mean anything. And refuses to confirm in the context that how he's using it. The easiest way to
George, never seen Andrew lose before. This is wild. Yeah, he's totally losing.
What your definition of gynocentrism is, and then we can have a look at what I've said and compare and contrast the two. But Andrew is refusing to do that because this whole debate he's been running around giving me.
Never seen Andrew lose before. This is wild. What are you freaking?
I think that's sarcastic. It's got to be.
To be honest, I would like to be more serious in how we talk about gender roles in Orthodox Christianity, because Andrew and all of the Ortho Bro circle, and in fact, the entire kind of reactionary right at this point, are doing quite a big amount of damage in how we view men and women. And I've got personal experience with this, which I'm not going to go into necessarily. But I want to go back to Dr.
Oh, damn! God, you can't tease that, Daddy!
The three types of Christ: prophet, priest, and king. And that we are actually supposed to fulfill all three. And we're not supposed to be in a kind of authoritarian, the Father's telling us to do this. We're supposed to be looking to the Father, both men and women, in a kind of martyrdom of marriage. Now, Andrew, I have never heard Andrew talk, when he talks to women and when he talks about gender roles or anything like that, reference any of the teachings and also talk about how much he loves the Theotokos, the Virgin Mary, the Mother of our God. All he does is play these rhetorical trick games and then turns around and says he's joking and then says that actually this is okay because, you know, this is what the culture's like. He thinks the top culture is lopsided in favor of women when he agreed with Rollo Tomasi in the tweet that I mentioned in the beginning. That is demonstration on its own that he believes the West is gynocentric.
Okay.
Okay, well.
Are you ready to pull anything up or do you want to keep moving on?
I mean, it is.
Respond to this, and then I'll see if I can't get these all pulled up. as soon as I get a little charge on
An
this.
hour and a half, and maybe we're getting progress in the actual.
Anyway, so back to this. I brought, again, clear evidence and receipts. The reason I'm not willing to move past this into any other conversation is because I want to make sure I'm dealing with a good faith interlocutor. What is the point and purpose of me dealing with a person who lies and slanders me all the time? And believe anything that she says when she can't.
I just want to point something out. You notice how Sarah spanked Natty, and now she's behaving
for her to try to have an opposition to my worldview.
Oh no, never mind.
Yeah, well, that didn't last long.
Is established in the idea that gynocentrism by one Mr. Peter Wright is exactly what I always mean when I use the word, which I don't even think I use it much. But even if I do. She would have to establish that that's what I mean by that, and that this link exists between us, which she constantly claims. Now, if she can establish this link between us, that's fine. I'm willing to allow her to do that. But if she can't, why in the world should I humor her on any of her bullshit nonsense when she basically won't admit that she's just slandering me? Where's the proof, Natty? Where's the evidence and proof of the link between us and Peter Wright? I showed the evidences. Natty, I've been asking you and begging you and olive branching everything I possibly can. Can you just please, for all that is good, either do one of two things. Either say, Andrew, I actually don't have the evidence and I'm willing to correct that you don't have any link with this guy and never had any link with this guy until basically you brought him up, or you can make the contrary concession and say, no, I truly believe that this is true and have absolutely zero evidence to show for it. Those are your only two options. So you're either going to have to show us the evidence or not show us the evidence. You have one choice or the other here.
To you, Natty.
Okay, Andrew is going to keep running around in a circle, running, and not.
No, he's right. You either have to concede the point that there is no connection.
Bringing up talking points, and maybe eventually he'll decide to actually behave.
No, you don't get to do that, Natty. You don't lose and slander somebody and then just walk away.
It doesn't concern me when the media misrepresents the Orthodox faith. In fact, I cannot even really blame them most of the time because, of course, it's not their job. And
I mean, like when the BBC misrepresented it when they interviewed Father Moses, and then you bought into exactly the narrative that the BBC put out about Father Moses.
Different, of course, if there is a malicious intent or a deliberate desire to misrepresent the teachings of the church. And this sometimes happens, though it doesn't seem to be the case, really, in this particular instance. I'm not overly concerned about what the media thinks of us, but I am concerned what you think of us. And that is to say, what each Orthodox person understands about the church. We live in a culture where too many people, including people in our own church, turn to the media, whether it be traditional or social media or other things, and think that they will find there some accurate echo of the church's teaching. This almost never happens.
El Perro says, 1 Timothy 2:12, but I suffer not a woman to teach, nor to usurp authority over the man, but to be in silence.
No offense, but I feel like this might be what Timothy was thinking.
They think they're going to preach, that they're going to hear preachers about masculinity and real manhood. And I want to say that if you're here because you think that's what we're here to do, then you're a fool. This is stupidity. Masculinity, as far as I'm aware, is not an Orthodox term. It's not a term that has any traditional place in Christianity. It's a term embraced by the secular world because this world has rejected normal concepts of humanity, in which, of course, there is male, there is female, there is child, and there is adult, and there is simply human beings. But being the world has lost sight of the basics of what it means to be human, it's forced to respond to the lack of clarity.
Thank you, Natty.
That's
Andrew,
from Bishop Irenei from Rocor in Europe. And I will continue to read the rest of the sermon since Andrew does not want to engage in this.
No, I don't think George is sarcastic here. I think
that's all my messages
genuinely...
with Peter Wright, you fucking idiot.
Go ahead.
And what's incredible is that...
You fucking dolt. That's all of them, you fucking idiot.
We can't see them.
You can't see them because there aren't any.
There's not a. So there. I just read every message I've ever had with Peter Wright for you live, man, Natty. Showed them all to you. Did you see them?
I don't care.
You don't care? My whole worldview, gynocentrism, comes with a guy I've never fucking talked to, Natty.
The entire right wing believes in gynocentrism.
Entire right wing. I want you now Now that we've
That's a bigger
established that
thing.
you're
I
the
wish
biggest
we
fucking
were
liar
that
on the internet,
effective.
now it's time.
Are we that
for us
effective?
to go ahead and we'll move right
Honey
in
badgers use
to your
gynocentrism. It's super
critique,
effective.
Okay. Now, here's how this works. All you got to do now is demonstrate that Andrew Wilson believes anything Peter Wright believes. And I'm willing to answer any of your questions in order to do that, to give you yet another olive branch. And I'll destroy you on this now a second time. Go ahead, Natty, whatever you got.
If you guys want,
can continue if you want to. I don't mind.
and I apologize. If you promise to play nicely, if not, I'm going into full bitch mode. But I can put the timer to the side, and you can dive right in if you both play nicely. Everyone agree? All right. I swear to God, I can.
Who the hell is Lazarus Conley? Now he has
I'll
valid
remove the
points to make, but
timer.
needs to work on
Now,
presentation and
don't
can't
make me
let
bring it
AW
back.
get under her
Okay,
skin.
Go ahead.
Both went bad faith at certain points. I think it should have been Nat
Okay,
versus Rachel. Like, what are you even talking about?
If you think you're here because this is a place where you can reinforce some cultural masculinity, if you think
So
you're here because
essentially, this person who just sent this has reversed the causality from, and of course, it's going that the man is responsible for the woman's behavior. Andrew is responsible for Natty's behavior.
Christ, our Lord. We preach it without fear and we preach it without agenda. Our only goal is that every single human being might become a living image of Christ himself. That men might become Christ-like men, and that women might become Christ-like women, that children might be true children of God, and that the aged might find the real respect due to those who long live and struggle for Christ in this world, and learn what it means to be redeemed. All of these are other characterizations of Christian life and characterizations of church life. Things they all have in common is that they never seem to be religious at all. Their only interest is social and political questions. What are your views on masculinity or sexuality, on politics or government, on war? Do not come here. If those are the questions that drive your life, come here for one reason, because you are aware somewhere deep inside of you that something is wrong.
Is there a question somewhere here?
Something is wrong with you, with me, with the world in which we live, and this something is called sin, and this is the place where it can be healed. I don't know about you, Andrew, but I joined the Orthodox Church because I knew something was wrong with me. I was a men's rights activist. I knew that was wrong.
That's nice.
Okay. I don't think you've made the same realization, to be honest. I have to say.
No, I don't think it's wrong to be a men's rights activist. No.
Oh,
exactly.
thank you,
Men's rights
Andrew.
activism is based on gynocentrism worldview.
Prove it.
I can prove it because Dean Esme and Peter Wright and Paul Elam have been the most influential men's rights.
Yeah, that's just yeah. So
all of the talking points.
Sarah, make it 30 seconds for back and forth, and
all
we'll
of the
never get
talking
through
points
it.
that we have come directly from them, and it also comes from the misandry bubble of 2010.
Well, but the thing is that gynocentrism, as I told Natty, gynocentrism is something established in the literature, which she refused to
advocate for men's rights activism, like Paul Elam, for instance, who I've debated with on what
he believes in gynocentrism worldview, and Peter's his mate.
I've debated with him, Natty. Debated against his worldview,
I'm
Natty.
gonna say stop, Natty. I will have to keep doing the timer. All right.
Worries.
If we keep interrupting. All right.
Yeah, so
go ahead, Andrew.
Can you reset? Yeah. So anyway, look, I've debated with Paul Elam on his worldview live in a panel with Rollo Tomasi against what their version of MRA is. But just so you know, just because people, you could say this about anything. You could say a political party is evil because there's evil interlocutors in it, or people have bad worldviews inside of it. But for you to just blanketly state that men's rights activism is evil or in some way bad, you need to demonstrate that, not by showing me bad faith interlocutors, but what's wrong with advocating for men's rights.
Go ahead, Natty.
There you go.
Okay.
Now, look, Andrew's not even an MRA, so he can make the case, though, because he understands that there are legal problems.
Activism is distorted, and it's based on a particular side of the spectrum that I was talking about earlier in the
men's rights activists don't have to believe in gynocentrism theory of any brand, much less Peter Wright's brand.
I agree. They don't. A lot of them don't, actually.
Okay, so my turn. So, yeah.
They just want to take the issues one by one.
You're not giving me an
That's
answer.
fine.
What's actually wrong? And you prattled so much, you actually ran your own timer out without answering the question. Here's the question again. What's actually wrong with advocating for men's rights? What's actually wrong with it? Absent bad faith interlocutors who could be involved in that movement, like they would be in any political movement, any NGO, any political establishment which exists, what's actually wrong with advocating for the rights of men? What, Natty?
It sounds like you sorry, he's finished. It
You're good.
sounds
Yeah,
like
you're good.
you are calling Paul Elam a bad faith advocate.
Okay, no, you don't get to then turn around and do that.
It sounds like. So what you're saying?
Guy who got this the talking points about men's rights out there. Are you calling him bad faith?
Well, okay, so now she's turning this
No, I'm
around.
asking you a question.
No, I'm
What's
asking you a
wrong?
question.
You don't
Okay, you don't like Paul's worldview.
Yes, you do
Okay.
sometimes.
What's wrong with
Well, time
advocating
will
for
run
men's
out,
issues?
And then it'll be my
Right.
turn again.
Go ahead.
So one more time, I'm going to ask the question to Natty, who refuses to fucking answer it for the 400th time. Natty, what is actually wrong with being a men's rights activist if you're advocating for things like, for instance, I don't know, the abolishment of the draft would be a really good one. That could be a men's rights advocacy, which I would consider to be a moral claim that an Orthodox Christian could have a good claim to. Perhaps that men should be put to death by the state. That could be another great claim that an Orthodox Christian could make and why they would advocate against it. There's a big split there. Circumcision is another claim that can be made by men's rights activists, which you see in the Orthodox Church. There's some split there. Natty, one more time. What's wrong with advocating for men's rights, Natty? Answer the fucking question.
Andrew, take another bit of your cigarette, bro.
God, this chick's
Just
never
need
going to
to calm
answer.
down.
Just answer the question,
I'm
Natty.
gonna answer the question.
Here's what I'm going to
Thank
do
you.
before I'll reset your timer too.
Okay,
We're going to run this for 10 more minutes.
All
and
right.
that's
Just
it.
reset her timer.
So if you would like to have
We don't have to stay for the super
conclusion of the
chats. We can stop
conversation,
after
be
that.
productive, I suggest we go with Q&A and we continue doing that in good faith.
Yeah, no, this is.
No problem.
I can
what's
only
wrong with
imagine the
men's
increase in
rights,
noise that super chats would
activism
make.
is that it's based on the gynocentrism worldview, and beneath that, it's also based on an ontological egalitarian view of viewing the human. So if you're an Orthodox Christian, you cannot subscribe to a lot of the talking points that the men's rights movement has made. In fact, most of them are cherry-picked. In regards to things like the draft, there's something in Orthodox Christianity, I wouldn't say that they would have a particular strong view.
Yeah,
either
exactly.
way
So
on
my
that.
turn. So anyway, so yeah, back to this real quick. All of these could be construed as men's rights advocacy. You're talking about the idea of circumcision, the idea of the draft. Abortion would be part of men's rights activism. So would custodial custody for parenting. All of these things would fall, and so would DV laws, domestic abuse laws. Those would fall under men's rights as well. All of these things, which from the Orthodox view is fine to advocate for change for, Natty. What's actually wrong with being a men's rights advocate? What? Other than Natty says it's all gynocentrism. Prove it. Prove any of those things are gynocentric.
Go ahead, Natty.
Okay. Domestic violence laws. The men's rights movement has claimed that
good grief.
there's a lot of prejudice against men in terms of domestic violence. Well, actually, strictly, that's not true.
The UK defines male victims of domestic violence as a part of violence against women.
In the UK, in
Like they
terms of men
define them out of
perpetrators
existence.
versus women. And actually, in the UK, coercive control has been passed, which actually helps men. And that had nothing to do with the men's
Okay,
rights.
so anyway, so this is all based on
Yeah, you do a talking
categorization.
point. Would you
So
like to
when you go into DV laws, especially, you already had laws on the books for assault inside of the United States. Special categories were pushed by feminists for domestic violence specific laws, right? Those were designed to favor women. That is in fact true. Yeah, I can actually give you the subset of laws, and I can give you the links to those laws and who they were pushed by.
A completely new branch of
what's actually
violence
wrong with advocating
protect
for equality
women.
under the law?
Go ahead. Natty.
Yes.
Equality under the law is based on an egalitarian ontology.
Okay,
which
so you can
basically
advocate for equality under the law when it comes to women,
and that
but
you
not for men.
and women as apples to apples rather than apples to pears, then somebody is going to lose out. And in fact, you spend most of your time arguing with liberals who have an egalitarian ontology, and you call out things to do with them quite successfully, I would say, sometimes, all the time. Why are you backing
So
points that
because
are based on that
what she's saying,
Okay, so first of all,
Orthodox
these aren't ontological
Christianity
claims,
justifies
right? You're right. I
harms
do
against
believe that
men
there's
in the law.
ontological distinctions
somehow.
between men and women.
This is the
Ontology
argument I'm getting from
being,
her.
It's an entire philosophical branch. In case you're not aware, Natty, I'm talking about under the law. You see, we have prescriptions under the law, which are designed to be equally prescribed to men and women. The second, you give non-equal treatment to one over the other, while one side claims that they deserve that special treatment. You are in contradiction. That's why MRA advocates exist to try to do something about inequality under the law.
Go ahead, Nat.
And MRA advocates exist because they have a liberal worldview that's based on an egalitarian ontology. I know, as a men's rights activist, the people that dominate.
Okay.
If you try to talk about how,
if she's saying that law shouldn't be egalitarian because of orthodox, first of all, that means that religion should inform law rather than secular principles. Fine. But religious law would not have that secular attitude towards women's autonomy.
The contradiction
You
that
get what I'm
if you,
saying,
the
Brian?
feminists that claim we're supposed to have an egalitarian society, which is built under the idea of equity, then if you do one favorable set of laws, which are for women that don't apply to men, like you see with abortion, things like this, that would be a contradiction in the worldview. MRA people, whether you agree with their prescriptions or not, are fucking fantastic at pointing that out. That's a criticism of the view. Actually serves orthodoxy well to criticize that view.
Go ahead, Natty.
Again, you don't seem to be appealing to what I've actually presented to
Yeah,
you.
actually, he's got a point, because the liberal feminist or the feminist viewpoint is the primary argument against male authority, because it frames male authority as oppressive and aggression against men or women.
Those claims wouldn't exist in the way where they would say that men don't have as many rights as women.
She thinks that Peter Wright's work is the basis of the men's movement.
Back to me, so you see how.
So what about before Peter Wright existed?
So again, she brings up a criticism of Peter Wright, who's not Andrew Wilson. She should be trying to attack Andrew Wilson's views. What Andrew Wilson just gave her was an overview, a listing of MRA things I would advocate against, which are well within the confines of the orthodox view. She even agrees that these things are fundamentally unfair. From the criticism of categorization of ontology, we're doing an internal critique on feminism and proving their worldview has massive faults in it. That's the whole point.
The men's rights movement and feminists have the same ontology. You don't seem to be recognizing that, Andrew.
Okay, so are you willing to get rid of the advances that feminism makes? Miss, I'm terrified of Project 25?
Yeah, well,
and Trump bringing about the handmaid's tale and taking away women's rights?
Yeah,
like,
so
how dare
you're not
she?
using the word ontology right. Ontology is a study of being. It's a philosophical branch which is designed to study being. So how can you take two political ideologies and talk about ontology, dunce?
No.
You mean the philosophical basis is on egalitarian, but she herself capes for feminist version of egalitarianism. Remember how many times she was hysterical about Trump bringing about Handmaid's Tale and taking away women's rights?
Yeah, Project 2025.
Project 2025.
And you have adopted.
So she is complete hypocrisy in this.
Use that with the orthodox position. Right, because you're more on the.
So when it comes to women, she embraces the egalitarian position. But when it comes to men, she says, "Well, that's not supported by orthodox knowledge." So orthodox roles for men, egalitarian roles for women.
And
what is at the heart of it is she doesn't want to take responsibility for anything.
That's the whole point.
She thought men's rights existed to pamper her emotions.
Yes, it does.
And then when it came to a point where she had to realize, no, men's rights exist because it is a good, that it is important to care about men and their rights. She noped out of that shit because it meant she took responsibility for something rather than getting something out of it.
A man in an androgynous form, which
from the feminist view, yes. From the feminist view.
And the men's rights activist worldview is rooted in the same thing.
No, it would be rooted.
Okay, so now it's rooted in egalitarianism and not gynocentrism?
You've made that mistake of that assumption.
Okay, I'll prove it to you.
Okay. I would say you think that they believe what Protestant fundamentalists believe, and they don't.
Okay, my turn. So I'll prove it to you. If you have ontological claims, you would first have to make the case that the ontology of men and women from the MRA view is the same. It is not. That is the view of the feminist. The feminist makes the claim that there's the ontological categorization distinction between men and women doesn't exist. They're interchangeable widgets. MRAs make the opposite claim. They claim that based on the distinction in ontology, there's certain societal roles and structures which need to be followed. It's literally the opposite, Natty.
It's true.
Go ahead, Natty.
I think okay.
Anyway,
I think there
Yes,
are
actually, you're right. You're right. Because we look
no.
at history,
There
we say
are
that
there
roles are
are
biological.
egalitarian
We have
MRAs,
3 more minutes
obviously,
left.
but
Please, your word
I'm
of
not
warning.
one of them. I mean, like one thing that I've learned from doing this is that men and women are not the same. They're never going to be the same. They're not interchangeable widgets. We got to work with things as it is, as it exists in reality. So no, I don't. I don't at all. Feminists are the ones that believe that they're interchangeable, and yet men should be treated as inferior.
So real quick, you just made a claim. You said that at the core, ontologically, feminist and MRA advocates are exactly the same, but they're not. I demonstrated to you how they're not. One has an egalitarian worldview. The other one uses the criticism of the egalitarian worldview in order to push men's advocacy. One believes the ontology is different. One believes that the ontology is
okay, let's put it this way. First of all, when you're talking about men's rights, it's really hard to, because you're right, Brian, there are egalitarian men's rights activists who believe all social roles should be abolished because they're harmful to men. But there are ones like me that say, okay, biology affects social roles. When you look through history, it's not an issue of oppression. It's an issue of men and women cooperating in their biological roles to create society, which is against the feminist conception that is not biology, it's oppression. Right? It's men deliberately and obtusely oppressing women throughout history.
Points, that would be great. So here again, I'm just gonna point this out very quickly. Ontology, state of being. Men and women have a different ontology. For you, for the feminist, right, on the feminist side of things, they're going to believe in the interchangeable widgetability of men and women. They're exactly the same. They have the same ontology. There's no distinction. Anything a man can do, a woman can do, blah, 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 blah. The MRA...
And there are men's rights activists who believe that.
They say, no, there's a distinction in ontology. Total distinction. Men aren't the same as women. Waiting for the demonstration of the opposition.
Go ahead, Natty.
If you want to know what we believe, don't look at the internet. Don't read media reports. Listen to your own voice.
What's really funny is that the egalitarians on the feminist side will say that women can do everything a man can do except rape and domestic violence and also false accusations and anything negative or criminal.
And if we have failed to proclaim this to the world has caused us to think otherwise. Let us do better. And where others are misrepresenting us.
Yeah, okay. So anyway, so we're all done with that. So now, wife, bring me down a cup of coffee. I would appreciate it. This has been great. I would still love to know how you're going to explain to us how one side says that there's an opposition ontology, the other side says an interchangeable ontology, how you can demonstrate that that's not the case when that is, I can literally demonstrate it to you from feminist own writings versus MRA people's writings. I can demonstrate it to you across the board. One believes in a non-interchangeable set of ontological structures and the other does not.
And before I let this one go, this is the last 30 seconds to Natty, and then we're doing closing statements. I'm over it. Natty.
All right, no problem.
I'm with you, Sarah.
So if Andrew was serious about representing what the Orthodox Church says, then he would talk about how we're supposed to follow Christ, and he would talk about how we
if you were serious
and follow
about the Eastern or the Orthodox Church,
he has never done that.
You wouldn't be talking in public right now, Natty.
He's bullied and intimidated a bunch of OnlyFans girls. That is not Christ-like as far as
and again, no proof for any of these allegations whatsoever. Just arguments from incredulity. I've never seen Andrew do a thing, therefore he's never done thing. By the way, Andrew doesn't have a ministry. Andrew says often that he's not here to represent the Orthodox Church. I've always been extraordinarily clear about that. And guess what? That's not any of Natty's fucking business. That would be the business of myself, my church congregation, my spiritual father, not of Natty. Her Natty needs to mind her own fucking business. And if she has an issue, she can go through the proper channels of orthodoxy to have me condemned or in some way, pushed back against by the hierarchs who are there, who are definitely not fucking Natty. On top of all that, remember, Natty provided no evidence for any of her claims. I provided evidence for my claims. We got to the back and forth Q&A. She couldn't even answer basic questions about an ontology and the distinction between that and epistemology. You have failed on every level here, Natty.
You pretending,
because you say something doesn't mean it's
you miming this emotion does not make an argument, Natty.
My closing statement.
All right, we'll let them do their closing statements, and then
ahead
we'll
with your
stop
final
it and we can talk.
closing
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So
Good. 'cause
Natty's entire argument
I
against
think I've
the
been
Wilsons has
poisoned by
always
this lack
been
of signal.
thus. It's always been the same thing, that she has an issue with some guy named Peter Wright, and because she has an issue with this guy, anybody who she perceives as being in any way associated with this dude's circle is him. Not 90% of her arguments are tailored towards him, not towards me. She doesn't even categorize the things I say correctly because she doesn't even understand my position. She could have taken all this time to research out my actual position. She didn't. All she did instead was come with the same shit, which is why I call her Never Learns Natty. She never learns. All she has to do, if you want to criticize me, right, use my positions, use Andrew Wilson's positions to make criticisms of Andrew Wilson. When you say absurd claims like Rachel got her book ideas from a guy, when I show proof that couldn't be possible, you have no refutation but double down, you look stupid. When you say, I get my ideas from Peter Wright, never had a conversation with the guy, you look stupid. When you can't demonstrate, like you said, that there's some Patreon link there, but you can't show it, you look stupid. When you make claims about ontology, you don't know how to separate those from epistemological claims, you look stupid. When you make these claims, Natty, when you say Andrew Wilson is X, you don't come to me and then try to get me to give you the answers to my worldview. You come equipped and ready to criticize that worldview from my view and build your case, not beg me for answers to your questions. You should already come equipped with that, just like I came equipped. All I had to do here was exactly what I said. I outlined at the very beginning of the debate that you would fall prey to this tactic, and you always do. All I ever have to do with you, Natty, is ask you to show evidence, and then I watch your entire case fall apart. You're a joke, right? People laugh at you because of this, and the thing is, I don't think you're stupid. I don't think you're stupid. That's the funniest part is you could easily reverse your entire image in these spheres if you would just actually get away from the fucking tinfoil hat and engage with people where they're at. That's it. Engage with them where they're at. You want to engage with Andrew Wilson about his views? Good. Actually engage with Andrew Wilson on his views then, not Peter Wright on his views and how they somehow map onto Andrew Wilson with your crazy correlates and lack of evidence. And even in the face when you're shown evidence to the contrary, serious, significant evidence to the contrary, you double down anyway. Don't come to me and talk to me about fucking humility. How fucking humble could you possibly be when I show you all the evidence of your slander and you double down on it? You should actually be ashamed of yourself. You have been on this dogmatic crusade for what, going on almost 2 years now, with no evidence to show for it whatsoever. And I've told you, my wife's told you that this isn't true. We've shown you the evidence for it multiple times. Now you just got exposed in front of so many thousands of people. There's going to be hundreds of thousands of people who watch this, Natty, and they're never going to let you forget that you did this. For what? What did you even gain? You didn't even gain anything. It was just stupid. Next time, you know what's really funny about all this? I'm one of the most easily accessible guys out there who have a platform my size in the world. You could have just DM'd me. You could have just been like, hey, you know what, Andrew? Is there actually a link between you and this guy? And if there is, what is it? Blah, 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 blah. I would have just told you. I literally would have just told you. Instead, you played phone call a friend, and he comes in and says, Peter Wright's one of the most manipulative, blah, 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 blah. I don't give a fuck about Peter Wright. First of all, right, when I looked into this guy, my platform's way fucking bigger than his, gigantic in comparison. It's not even in the same fucking universe. This guy's not even on my radar. I don't give a fuck about him. But you guys, all you can do is make these correlates in your conspiracy tinfoil hat fucking wearing bullshit about how there's a correlate between everybody and this gynocentric view and Peter Wright. Tailor the view to the person next time. Natty, you won't look so stupid. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, Andrew.
Who's going to be next time? Good Lord.
He's finished catching and having a little tantrum. Let's be serious for a minute. So I said earlier
Rachel,
that Andrew
bring me
Wilson
some coffee,
has a more
please.
gender essentialist, gynocentrism from a biological position. That's what the main difference between, say, someone like a tradcon, you could probably say the tradcon.
Gynocentrism from a biological position.
And the difference between him and Peter Wright.
Yeah, she seems to think that Peter Wright's idea is that gynocentrism is biological.
Oh, for God's sake.
Not. It's
She doesn't
not.
even know what Peter Wright says.
I know, but that's her concern.
That's just why I brought up ontology.
Well, so she basically lives in a delusion.
We're talking about a kind of dualism between the
where
mind
she's
and
just
the body.
decided what
Andrew
people
Wilson's side of
advocate.
the
And
fence is
even
coming
when
out
they
and saying
say,
the
no,
body
I
is
don't
more
advocate
important
that
than the
thing,
mind. And the egalitarian
and I
side
can
of the
show
fence
you that I
saying
don't,
the mind is more
it
important than the
doesn't
body.
penetrate.
And Peter Wright's quite a sophisticated operator because he likes to play around between those two positions. As somebody that knew him personally,
Peter Wright.
I remember when he
Wright.
did an article about mod wives.
Wright.
Andrew Wilson's got a real point here.
Well, we
Peter
shouldn't be
Wright.
promoting.
Why is
trans
she
rights,
so obsessed with this man?
pretty much the same thing, but just more rooted in a more.
What is it about Peter Wright that's really gotten under
so
Natty's
Andrew
skin?
doesn't seem
Like
to be
this is
able
the
to
great
actually
irony of
any
this.
these things I've
Daddy
said,
came on a
and
debate
thinks
with
that
Andrew
the
Wilson,
audience
and
is
she's
right.
debating Peter Wright.
On the kind of right-wing culture war side of the fence, everybody has accepted.
Does Andrew Wilson even
They
exist
can take
in
the
this?
rhetoric about being a trad wife.
Hasn't
where
even penetrated who
God,
she's talking
Christ,
to.
man, woman from Corinthians, and that is thought of in the same way in the framing as orthodoxy does, and orthodoxy doesn't think about gender in that way, and thank the Lord for that, because he's basically saying, let's go back to something that we've tried before, and this is compatible with orthodoxy. And I don't think Andrew's been
okay, now she's talking about Andrew Wilson
representing what he truly believes about that, because
I think the problem that she has with gynocentrism is the criticism.
But at the same time,
I think she honestly believes that the world should be gynocentric, but that's just the way it is.
Also around the ortho.
We shouldn't even have a word for it, just like fish don't have a word for water.
Clergy influence, and I will just bring this up one more time. Father Moses McPherson's claim, where he said that Eve ate the apple because she wanted to dominate her husband. Well, anybody that has studied Genesis or any basic theology will tell you that power dynamics between men and women, or anyone, is a consequence of the fall, and it's not something that caused the fall. So he's literally being backwards in the way he's saying that. And he also said that St. Isaac the Syrian said that, which is completely not
I don't know. I think that it was Adam and Eve's decisions that caused the fall.
Now,
but I mean, the fall, if you believe, you know, in the Bible and stuff, the fall was sort of like predetermined also.
Which is just fascinating.
So God knew it was going to happen, but this is the way it was supposed to play out, so that we would suffer and then redeem ourselves through Jesus.
Why
but
are you going out there and playing into the kind of dude bro culture and all of this joking, when actually really like trying to be like Christ is a serious matter? I really don't know why he thinks he can get away with that. So if for anyone that's watching this and actually can see that Andrew doesn't really want to deal with this on the serious way that it should be, then I thoroughly recommend looking at Dr. Batista's work and any other source about gender roles and stuff. That's not Father Trenham, that's not Father Moses McPherson, that's not Andrew, any of the ortho bro crews I'm not going to name, right? Actually go directly to the source and speak to your priests that are not those guys, because they are being called out as the Protestantizing of orthodoxy right now. And I wouldn't be surprised if they all didn't join some cult under Father Moses McPherson's mansion, because I don't know, that's quite disturbing. The last thing I'm going to say before, I don't know how much time I have left.
About 30 seconds.
Is that we as lay people, we are allowed to call each other out.
Are you a layperson?
That we're not allowed to speak
You
about
seem to think you're an expert.
But we are also supposed to be open to correction.
I think she's done a lot more calling other people out than calling herself out.
Andrew and everyone in that circle to be corrected. I'm contributing what I know here.
She's such an innocent in all of this. She just
when I realized that I was
abdication of agency right here.
Has the most distinct, horrible resentment towards her based on evolutionary psychology and Carl Jung's archetypes, which, by the way, he is saying that he agrees with. He agrees with the framing of that. The men's rights worldview comes from uses all of that stuff, right? Right, okay. Because he's saying all of that, he doesn't seem to be capable of being honest and admitting he's trying to infuse that with the very serious message of orthodoxy, and which also says that Adam's will is Adam ate the fruit willfully, and his will is what needs healing first in man. And I don't think Andrew's doing.
Wasn't she the one who ate the fruit first?
Thank you for listening.
Absolutely.
Why would Adam be the one who
I
has
have no
to
idea
be
who the fuck
healed
Peter
first
Wright
if
is, but I want to
Eve
know
ate
why
it
he
first?
was not here today. I'm
You should get him on. Try.
confused why this.
No, he never goes on anywhere. We can.
Who doesn't?
I'm just gonna stop. We're gonna pause it there. They're just gonna. Don't they want me to play more?
Well, who doesn't go on? I'm just curious.
Peter Wright.
Oh yeah, no,
Well,
he
Sarah
doesn't. He's
said,
not interested.
I don't know who the fuck Peter Wright is, but we should try to get. Maybe he should have been here. And she said, go ahead and then Natty said, go ahead and get him on, but he won't do appearances, probably because he would get treated like shit. And I don't blame him. And he's also protecting. He's got a job. He's trying to protect his job, and I understand.
Well, not just protect his job, but protect the people who he works with. And I'm not going to say anything more than that. But like this is not something he's going to do. You're better off asking me or Brian, because we probably know more about Peter Wright than either Natty or Andrew Wilson. But or no, don't ask Dean Emsby or Paul Elam again. Bring him back on, right? Because
Paul Elam's never done this show, and I don't think Paul's interested in debate, especially stuff like this.
Well, debating Natty is just like you have to listen to this pink noise generator for like an hour and a half. And it's like, what? Okay, stop making accusations you can't prove. I mean, the best part of this debate was when they started to talk about whether or not it's okay to be a men's rights activist. And Andrew's right. The only thing that qualifies somebody as a men's rights activist is that they advocate for a men's rights issue. You don't have to agree with any worldview.
You don't have to adopt it like a religion, because it is.
Yeah, you don't.
It's just
a lot of us have ideas.
A desire to address, let's say, injustice. I wouldn't even call it equality. Injustice.
Yeah, exactly. Just injustice.
Yeah.
And I mean, and apply, in some cases, apply the law equally between men and women. If feminism is going to control the law and feminism's control narrative means, we're going in to make equality, then they should allow criticisms based on how that equality affects one half of the equality, which is men. Like this, if that's going to be our principle that guides our laws, then there should be actual criticism to how equality is being judged, right? And there isn't now. It's just feminism define it and the laws follow feminism. Well, that's not fair. Because, I mean, would you want to invest in a government department that, I don't know, the government department of making sure widget, and then they define what a widget is, and they define what a widget is supposed to do, and they've defined it as in whatever way that they want. There's no oversight to make sure they're actually doing what they're doing. There's no oversight to feminism to make sure they're actually creating equality. None whatsoever. We're the oversight. Yeah, a small channel of people who've looked into these issues, studied these issues. We're their oversight. Like we are prosecuted by the Department of Homeland Security, most likely. We're probably on a whole bunch of black category lists. And there is even feminists who talk to YouTube to talk about censoring us. We're their oversight, guys. Without us, they'd have none. And we are barely a drop in the bucket or the drop in the ocean of their influence. And again, I mean, I've talked to scholars in criminology. The fact is that feminism just went into a wide open space, made any assertions they wanted. They were swallowed wholesale without any expectation that like this entire damn stream showed, any expectation that feminists prove what they're saying. So they just made a whole bunch of assertions with no proof that were accepted by academia and no oversight, right? Just nothing. They made shit up. Feminists made shit up about equality. They made shit up about the past. Never were held to any standard of proof. Just like Natty doesn't hold herself to a standard of proof in any of her assertions, and they were just accepted, and now our law is informed by that. It's insane. And you don't have to actually even believe in egalitarianism to criticize this.
No.
Right? But again, Natty certainly agrees with the woman's rights part of egalitarianism because she's spoken out against Project 2025, which was supposed to put her in a burqa and slap a freaking duct tape on her every time she attempted to talk. Like, nope, here's your duct tape, your state sanctioned duct tape, Natty. You're not allowed to speak, which incidentally is in orthodoxy. Like there's a bunch of freaking super chats saying women should not lecture men and stuff like that.
Well, that's in Christianity. This is mostly about like, it's not the same as say Islam. It's not like that at all. But there is like an understanding of the natural order, I believe. And that, the women have a place in it, but there are rules. I mean, there's expectations of men and women in the church. It's just that the expectations on men don't complain about them. Even today in America, in the church I go to Orthodox church, in case you guys don't know. I'm in a church, whatever they call it. I'm sorry. I'm new to this, and I'm not like so proud as to think that I know what it all means, because I don't. That's part of what's beautiful about it, is that I know that I don't know shit and that I'm small. And that's like part of like, it's like the first thing you have to understand about yourself is that you're not the main character in the story, right? But even at my church, they're basically a rule. It's like a rule that women have to be veiled in church. That's just one of the things. Like veiled as in they wear something on their head. It's not like, completely covered, just like to cover their hair. And there's a lot of women that have a real big problem with that. And it's like a subject that's nothing. Like that's like nothing. Meanwhile, there's debates going on at the higher levels that there should be females in the actual like staff, in the clergy, like deacons and stuff. Now there are nuns, but like not deacons, right? But they're arguing for that right now. So the modern world, as it were, is trying to like muscle its way into even orthodoxy. I mean, Protestantism is completely cooked by gynocentrism. I'll just call it that because I think it applies there. And Catholicism is under siege. It's starting to buckle under that, but even orthodoxy isn't safe from it. And when you understand that some people would argue the Catholic Church is the oldest church, but there's a strong case to be made that the Orthodox Church is the first church, it's the oldest church, and it's been around for thousands of years. And that being said, that is not immune. This is why, like, because we're humans, we have to be steadfast against like altering things. It's like it's one of the churches that has changed the least over the years because it's so strict. Remember, it was the only bulwark against the Bolshevik Revolution in Russia. The only thing that was there to provide any kind of like refuge from the Bolshevik Revolution was the Orthodox Church, which is why they basically for a while had banned it to the point where it was underground during the communist, the reign of the Soviets. But anyway, so now we're dealing with people who have just found this thing. And yeah, maybe they're gonna have different interpretations on it or whatever. I think what my belief is that Natty thinks that gynocentrism theory, as she puts it, is like sort of like the flip side of feminist patriarchy theory, as in that it's central to the ideology, but it is not. It's not the same. In order to be a feminist, you have to believe in patriarchy. It's like step one, patriarchy, and not patriarchy like in the, let's say, divine sense of patriarchy, like from the Bible, like as it's written, but patriarchy from the feminist definition, which is essentially a tool used by men to oppress women at the expense of women to the benefit of themselves. That's the feminist view. So it's not just patriarchy. You have to believe their specific version of patriarchy, which is also based in the idea that men and women don't have to like live like this. So it's like it's got to be like a cultural thing that has to be undone, a social thing that has to be undone. And we've talked about it on the show all the time. That's why when we get into discussions about like, you'll see feminists that'd be like, well, I didn't like the first wave, but I'm okay with the second wave, or I don't like the second wave, but or whatever, or I hate the current wave, but I'm okay with this other wave, or I think we need feminism in the Middle East. We need feminism in this other country because that's where women are really being oppressed. That's why we push back on that, because all feminism is based on that one lie the central lie that men hate women enough to do this to women. Okay. And not just like individual men, which I think would also be a very hard sell, but that men as a group would do this to women.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
gynocentrism is not the flip of that. It's not even, but like again, a lot of people disagree with whether or not it's even valid and what it means to them.
It's also mischaracterized.
Yes.
Like gynocentrism isn't just women win all the time. It's this idea that women are the center around that men are judged by. So providing and protecting women, and it's absolutely like it's evolutionary. Like if women do not survive, then there isn't reproduction. Now there are factors that make this very simplistic. So other factors involved, but it's the idea that women are the center, and you see it everywhere. Like look at terrorist organizations in the Middle East. I just demonetized this stream, but we're already demonetized, so who cares? It's the women who provide the continuity from generation to generation to generation, and in some cases really horrifically, like the women who are raping boys in the UN aid camps because they want to make more martyrs for their fanatical religion. But it's the women who provide that continuity, who teach the children, who give them the emotional habits that support the greater society. That's the recognition of it. It's like, and there's the old saying in Christian cultures, I'm not going to say it's Christian, that the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. That's gynocentrism, right? That's it. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean women win in every circumstance. It means that they have this influence over society, and they have this influence socially over groups of people and communities. And when they don't use that influence to maintain society, we get a shithole, a smoking crater, right? That can be completely compatible with the idea that men are on the outside, which is the place where authority lies, especially authority in relation to defending territory and establishing cultural norms around criminality. Like it's not this kind of thing that it's just, women are out to get men throughout all of human history. It's just a recognition of women's particular social power, right? And that we need, if we want to pursue so-called egalitarianism, then we need to recognize it and account for it when it comes to various situations. And this is the way that's being presented by Natty is she is denying responsibility for something. And I think that's what she's drawn to, because she doesn't even want to take, as a Christian, she doesn't even want to take responsibility for her part as a woman for the fall. She wants that all to be on men, which is, I mean,
so I think she has a different interpretation of the fall, or at least the Adam and Eve thing. So she said that Adam's like sin is greater because he took the apple willingly, but that suggests that Eve was like somehow the serpent tricked her, and she wasn't. It was like the serpent had thrall over Eve and got her to eat the apple. She had no ability to stop herself. But the promise from the serpent, to my understanding, was that he's like, if you eat of this fruit, you will become like God. So that would basically mean you will have power, and that's why Eve did it. So it was because Eve wanted to be like God. And then she offered it to Adam. And Adam, the original simp, said, okay. And worse, that was his sin, was listening to her. So basically giving her authority over him and doing what she asked. But worse than that is when God came and was like, hey, man, what you guys ate the apple, right? And then Adam passed the buck and said, no, she made me do it. So that was his sin. But she also, they both did it for that reason. They wanted to be like God. That was their sin. And that's, by the way, in a way, that's like a commentary on sort of modern day, this feminism. Identity politics of the day. It's like, how people, I think somebody
I choose my identity.
Yeah, I choose my identity, right? Like it's not given to me. Like there was somebody made a post, I think it was Stefan Molyneux actually, which is funny because Molyneux came up in this conversation. He's on Twitter and he's like on fire. I love it. But he said, name something that you see in someone, like when somebody makes an opening statement, what is the first thing you see that turns you off of them completely? And I answered when I didn't think, I was surprised nobody else did, but I said, mine, for me, it's when somebody starts a sentence with as a blank, that's like how I was like, okay, like as a woman, as a queer person, as a black person, whatever, I immediately just tune it out. Like, okay, because that's what you're doing. You're basically kind of saying, I am a small god. Here is my title and everything. And it's got nothing to do with something I've done. It's just about me as a person, and I think that is like the vainglory that we are all sort of steeped in, and it is what it is. We are fallen, in that sense. But you can't, like, I just did it. I don't think that I would ever say that men are not fallen as well, and I think that Natty does seem to be suggesting that women have nothing, they have no excuse, like they have not excuse, what is it? No incentive to like try to make things better because Eve and Adam, and because Adam, men have to be the ones to step up. But of course, when men do step up, which they did in the last election, for example, that's the wrong kind of stepping up, guys. You're not supposed to do that because that's scary.
You're supposed to
so
take
it's like
responsibility and do everything that women say.
Yeah.
Take responsibility for doing everything that women say. I just want to say that gynocentrism, chorizo is demonstrating gynocentrism. Accountability, he says accountability was Adam's kryptonite and it wasn't Eve's. Right there, that's gynocentrism. That is the automatic assumption of most people.
Remember,
that when
Eve
something happens, a man is to blame.
Eve was the reason why Eve was the first one was because Eve was there are some that say it was because she was able to like relate to the animals of the Garden of Eden more than Adam, so she could talk to them, right? Which is why the snake spoke to her. That's why that happened. And so she was it's like what women are, is they're the advocates for those who don't have a voice. That's what that symbolizes as well, which is why women, you can look around you, they are typically the biggest activists, right? And of course that can be used against them to make them advocate for things that are not right or not good, but it doesn't matter. It's what they're good at doing. It's what they tend to do. But when God came, Eve did not advocate for Adam. So like her ability to do that was not there. She just let it unfold. So, and again, it is a sin. Like they both sinned. That's the point, The other thing I was going to say is that I think, again, Natty's criticizing like members of the clergy that have been doing this for decades. I mean, like, at least in the case of Father Moses, he's been a priest for like 12 years. Are you sure the people who vetted him like thought like did they not know what he believed? And he still is a priest. Like, he hasn't been like excommunicated or anything. He hasn't been kicked out or exiled. So is he wrong? And like, how can you know when you've been doing this for what, like 3 years? I mean, like I've been doing it for about 3 years, and I don't talk about it much because I know it's like because of humility, basically. Chorizo,
chorizo. Yeah, that's what I call him.
I like chorizo.
Yeah.
It's good with eggs.
I feel like this was a lot of noise.
It's kind of what I expected, but I thought it was better than I thought.
It's entertaining. It's entertaining to people. I think that what did we learn from this aside from Natty's crazy and she's obsessed with Peter Wright? Like,
well, now I know. But here's what I would say. Now I know some things. I know for sure. Andrew Wilson gets what we're doing, and he doesn't disagree. And that's good because he has a massive platform. He doesn't have to call himself anything. This is something that we established years and years and years ago, where people say, well, why don't you, I remember Sargon, he used to say, you guys should just stop calling yourselves MRAs. And we were like, yeah, that's not going to matter. And he eventually came around on it because it's like, it's not a title that we give ourselves. It's something that we just do. It's a verb. It defines what we do.
Yeah. So and we basically... Feminists tried to get people to stop doing it by labeling it men's rights activism.
Right. Yeah. And they used it as a pejorative, and we just kept on moving. And also, because it's just a verb, you can't put it in a box. So that she can't, and that's to our credit, right? But Natty wants to put us in a box. That's why he said, oh, you all subscribe to the gynocentric worldview. right?
Yeah.
And I wanted to understand what she meant by that. And now I do have a better idea. And
Yeah,
I
and
think
we
there's
get to-
something
yeah,
about that she misses too. But go
You're
ahead.
right. There was some good stuff. It was about 5% signal. I think if Natty wasn't there and Andrew Wilson was talking about somebody who's like a serious person, it'd probably be significantly more signal than it was. But so and I appreciate. Yeah, you're right. The whole exchange between what's wrong with being a men's rights activist. There's nothing wrong with it. And here's the other thing that I want to point out about gynocentrism versus feminism, because she says they're the same.
Well, that's what I've alluded that, but she does say that their MRAs and feminists are both, they have the same ontology and the same egalitarian view. Yeah.
But the thing is that egalitarianism is something that's generally a lot of people agree with, even in history. I think if you actually look at how people discussed the relationship between men and women, there was a lot of a desire for egalitarianism, even when times when you wouldn't think it would be normal. Times that feminism has presented as being, the dark ages. And even in Christian theology, men and women are one in God. That's something about egalitarianism. So I think that there's a strong desire for egalitarianism because it feels just. And it's why men were the ones who were pushing women's vote more than women were, because they wanted egalitarianism. They felt like it was a principled ideal. And I'm not sure women were as driven by principles. Maybe in that sense, they were probably maybe more driven by common sense. But regardless, my point is that feminism's patriarchy theory or conjecture requires people believing that men's in authority equals women oppressed. So you can't conceive of a situation where men in authority and women are actually treated better than other men are. Right? Well, they call that patriarchy hurts men too. They dismiss that. But they're making the assertion that one equals the other. Not that you have to prove a causal relationship. And they don't. They say we don't have to prove a causal relationship. Men in authority equals women oppressed. Now, oppression is the unjust exercise of authority. So in order to actually prove that men in authority equals women oppressed, you have to prove that men unjustly use their authority. And the problem with that is throughout history, men are usually the ones enforcing the roles of provision and protection on other men for women, which is why women have a survival advantage throughout history, despite not being stronger or having the same degree of endurance, etc. So that doesn't hold true. Men in authority does not equal women oppressed, but feminists believe or assert that the one equals the other. Not even that equals, the one is the other. Like there's no relationship that they have to prove there. So they that was one of their foundational things that nobody said, well, maybe you actually have to prove that. You have to develop some scientific exercises that actually show that to be true or false. No, it was just accepted. That relationship was just accepted, and it shouldn't have been. And everything else falls from that. And not only do feminists assert that men in power, men in authority over women equals women oppressed without proving the relationship, they also assert that men use beatings and rape to uphold their power over women. So we're not just getting the initial assumption, which is that men in authority equals women oppressed, which requires believing that men's authority is innately cruel and unjust. Now we're operationalizing it and saying that men's authority equals rape and beatings, right? That's the feminist patriarchy in its essence. Okay, gynocentrism is just people prefer to benefit women. People judge things by women's benefit. Like that's not actually a hateful statement. It's basically just an observation, and there's studies that prove it's true. It's just an observation about how humans do. Is it a hateful statement towards women? There's nothing hateful about it. Is that hateful? Can somebody explain how that's hateful? That human beings just prefer to benefit women, probably because women are their moms, and they're also the reason why society has a future in terms of its children. There's nothing hateful about that. That's not saying that women use gynocentrism to rape and beat women to uphold their privileges. It's just a neutral statement of how
Yeah.
we arrange where we want things to be benefited. And the other assumption is that if you benefit women, you're also benefiting the children that they have with men, right? There's nothing hateful about it. I dare you to tell me what's hateful about gynocentrism. Feminism has a lot of hateful shit in it from the very inception. Gynocentrism is just an observation. Okay.
I was just gonna say I got something else about gynocentrism that I think is important too, that I would bring up. And I know that, okay, first of all, going back to the egalitarian view, again, MRAs are all over the map, like what they believe, right? You got people that are more like Paul Elam, you got people who are more like Warren Farrell. There's a lot of overlap, but they're definitely distinct in the way that they view things. I think Warren Farrell is definitely more in the egalitarian camp because of his like former, like life as a member of the National Organization for Women and all that. And you can tell like he's definitely down with the egalitarianism. Don't have a problem with that. Warren Farrell's great. He's done a lot of great work. Have nothing but massive respect for him. Okay. He's the Mr. Rogers grandpa of the men's movement. Paul Elam is not like that, but they still get along. Paul Elam does, I believe, at least to some degree, subscribe to, Peter Wright's, ideas. And some people like V for Vernon, who I know I've had on the show, and a lot of other guys, they have like their own different takes, and they're all over the place politically too, right? Warren Farrell is more of an old school lefty Democrat guy. Vernon is like an Irandian like libertarian guy. Paul is like more like libertarian MAGA type, loves his guns. None of that matters to us, but like what we care about is the same. Like Karen is an atheist libertarian, and like Hannah's a little bit more conservative, whatever, right? But we all like see you're basically like an old liberal, but what matters is where we like agree, and there's no baseline anti-female sentiment coming out of it. And I think one of the other things that gets a couple things I want to bring up. So one, to love someone does not mean you agree with everything they do. Does not mean that you don't criticize them when they make mistakes. In fact, if you love someone, if you care about them, you should criticize them when they're doing something self-destructive, even if it isn't hurting anybody else. Like if you know a person and they just drink themselves stupid every night and you don't say anything because, hey man, I don't want to like, tell you what to do with your life or whatever, because, but you're not serving them. Like maybe they do need your help, and it's okay to criticize people when they make mistakes if you care about them. So criticizing women or blaming women when they do something wrong is not hatred. So that's another thing, is like we should be working towards that. Then my thing about gynocentrism too is that I think there's different ways that people define it. For some, it's biological. For some, it's like learned behavior. I think that the way that like Lindsay and I have been having conversations about this, because she's been sort of like she's had some back and forth with Peter Wright, and she did a little bit of looking into this, and where we have landed, and I think this is really fascinating. So before I get into the gynocentrism, I want to bring up something that's sort of related to it. So World War II has a mythology around it that, I'm not saying that World War II didn't happen or any of the atrocities that happened during that time did not happen. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that it has become like a historical moment that we view with mythological reverence, right? Where it affects everything we do. Is like, have you noticed that if you call someone like Trump, for example, if you don't like Trump, what do people call him in the media and the activists? They call him Hitler, right? Why don't they call him Satan or Lucifer? But they call him Hitler instead, because Hitler has more cultural impact on people's emotions because of the mythology than the devil does. Is like more impactful than Satan. In fact, we view like figures like Satan as a little bit like comical, right? And some people say, well, it's because Hitler was real or whatever. But you're missing my point about like how impactful it is when you see this mythology. The mythology of World War II, though, is dying, and people are starting to ask real questions about what really happened during that period and everything leading up to it. And they're finding that it's not as black and white as we have been led to believe through that mythology. And I think that gynocentrism is the same thing for men and women. There's a mythology of romance as though it was like this thing that always existed. And this thing about like romantic love and dating and like finding the one and like that, you know, there's a soulmate out there. I think all of that is mythology. And I think that if you take a big historical view at the way men and women paired up for most of history, it's nothing like it's happening now. And it makes you wonder, like, is the reason why so few relationships work out and so many divorces exist is because of this mythology of how men and women get together that just is not reflecting on reality, like the reality of our history. You know what I mean? And I think that when Peter Wright talks about gynocentrism, at least from what, like I said, when I talked to Lindsay about it, I think it is like that a lot of people, the gynocentrism is what you said, Allison, about like caring about women's well-being, but it's also like couched in that romantic model of how we view women and like what it means to like be with someone when it wasn't like that. Like in the past, you know, a marriage was essentially a business contract between two families. And that was what it was for most of history. So why do we take on this whole, now women come into marriage and they got like, you know, 10 figures in debt, not 10, like 6 figures, 5 figures in debt. And men are just expected to pick up the bill. You know, like that's where we are now because we have adopted that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. When I say that it's just generally the observation that we want to benefit women, I mean, obviously there's a great deal of influence socially. And so there are cultures that say, well, and I think actually it might be seen as a negotiation between the benefit of a wife versus the benefit of the female relatives of her husband, who are also going to be contributing financially and in terms of personal resources to the children, who may not be they're genetically related. So, I mean, in those societies where you don't see the level of like overt crass gynocentrism as we do in our society, it may be because there's more of a negotiation between traditional investment of women in other women's offspring and because the thing is that if a woman cheats on a man and has a child in a place where all of the relatives contribute, all of the male relatives contribute to that child, she's not just defrauding the man, she's defrauding the aunt, the mother, the grandmother, the sisters, you know, and the nieces, like every other woman who's investing in her offspring that isn't genetically related to her. So I think like a lot of traditional pressures may come from that as well. So, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of different like social pressures affect gynocentrism. It can change gynocentrism. And then I would argue that in some ways, gynocentrism can be a benefit because without it, and when I say this, just bear with me.
Oh no, are men? Make everybody mad.
Yeah, who are men without an other? And that's women. And the real problem is not that women are men's other, that men judge themselves based on women's benefit and protection and provision. The real problem is that women don't do the same when it comes to men. Yeah. And I mean, maybe that was really what the fall is about. You know, this idea that men and women, like what would have happened if Eve had taken responsibility? What would have happened if Adam had taken responsibility? Right? Like, and that maybe would probably be a completely different outcome. Maybe, who knows? But my point is that the fact that women function as men's other, I don't think is the problem. The problem is that men don't function as women's other, and women are putting in other things besides men. They might be putting in nationalism. They might be putting in terrorist, fundamentalist religion, all this other thing. And I think it should be men. And I think that if we ever get there, if we ever get that brass ring, we're going to have quite the society. Let me tell you, one that may actually get to the stars. And that's what I advocate for. So, I mean, when Natty's like, oh, God, you think organicentrism? I'm like, well, yes. And I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. And it's a bad thing in isolation. If it's balanced by androcentrism, it's not a bad thing. Right? Like, all I'm concerned about is the fact that there's an excess here of excusing women, which I don't think benefits them at all. I mean, women have never been more miserable in a society where everything is taken care of for them and they're given endless excuses and no responsibilities. They're living out the mouse utopia and they've gone nuts. And that honestly isn't necessarily a bad reflection on them. All right? Because if they're going nuts because they have nothing to do and no responsibilities to live up to, what does that mean about being responsible and being productive to women's psyche? It means it's essential. And really when you talk about men leading women, men need to give them those boundaries, those expectations, and expect them to be productive. Maybe that's where the dowry comes in. You know, expect them not to make stupid decisions that leave them 6 figures in debt or with 3 children from men who did not want to commit. Right? Because they had a child with a man who was well outside of their ability to get him to commit. It's not his fault. You know, men are not obligated to commit to women. Women are not obligated to commit to men. Okay, so if you have a child with a man who is so outside your league, you'll never get him to commit, or he functionally doesn't have the commit genes, and it's probably usually pretty obvious, you know, that's sort of on you. Because a lot of women are all choosing those men. But regardless, my point is that it's the lack of expectations on women. It's the lack of expecting women to be productive that's leading to their misery because they don't have any other to serve. And maybe this is apostate. I think that men serve women, women serve men, and maybe we serve the spaghetti monster, the great unified source. I don't know what to call it. You could call it God. We serve God by loving each other. All right. That's enough woo for today.
Yeah. So, yeah, in closing, I think Natty is a Pharisee and doesn't know it.
Oh, yeah. My husband popped in.
I saw that.
Hawk's Nest is my husband.
I know. I could tell.
I'm going to do a shout
I know
out.
the logo when I see it.
Lol, this is on Natty. This is my husband's words on Natty. She just talks. No, my husband, Jonathan. She just talks and talks. Does she breathe? And Natty is too prideful to follow Christian teaching. That's Direhawk's summation there, Brian.
Yeah, it's fair. You know, do you guys know who the Pharisees are? I brought this up before. I suspected that she was acting like that, but she is. Do you guys know who the Pharisees are? Do you know the Pharisees, Allison? They were. But go ahead. What are you gonna say?
No, I know who the Pharisees are. I do, but you please illustrate.
Illustrate. The Pharisees were actually the primary antagonists to Jesus in the New Testament. A lot of people claim it was the Romans, but that's not actually true. The Pharisees were Jesus's primary antagonists. They were the primary opponents. They were essentially it was like a council of priests or high ranking rabbis, okay, that were highly focused on legalistic adherence to the Jewish law, and they emphasized external rituals over inner righteousness. Jesus criticized them frequently for hypocrisy, pride, and burdening people with strict rules. So they were basically the original rules lawyers of Christianity. They were ultra focused on the letter of, every single little rule that you had to follow, and that what you could and couldn't do on Shabbat, which was the I guess you could say that was their Sabbath day, and that still exists today in Judaism. There's there's Shabbat, and there's all these various days of recognition, and there's all these really weird rules that you have to follow. And Jesus was like, those things don't matter as much as being righteous. Like you're just trying to control people's behavior. And they did get a bit power hungry, and they were also really resentful of him because they thought the Messiah, when he was supposed to come, it was supposed to be like in the way of, you know, Moses, where they would come and like essentially overthrow the Romans and give the land to the Jews. But he did not come for that. He came to basically say, look, everybody can come through me, you know, Jew and Gentile, right? Doesn't matter where you're from. And they hated that because they liked the exclusivity of only, you know, being the chosen people, right?
Yes.
And that the Pharisees are the rules lawyers. And in a way, Natty is like really sounding like a Pharisee because she's going in and she's telling people who have been doing this for years and years and years that they're doing it wrong and that they're heretics. That's kind of messed up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
we have a super chat. I gotta.
Okay. Great indoors. Thank you. Gives us $5 and says, so what are you saying, Allison? Is that Natty's motivation to join the MRM was similar to that of feminists joining the new atheist movement 15 plus years ago? In Natty's case, because of her dislike of her mother. In a lot of feminist cases, it was because of their upbringing in traditional Christian households that clash with their teachings at various universities. Joining movements due to emotional baggage is never a good thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it wasn't, I'm not conjecturing. That's what she said. She said that she had a hatred towards herself and her mother, or something related to her mother. Don't put words in my mouth. It was quite the stream, so I don't know if I remember everything correctly, but I do know that
I remember the stream. It was it sounded like the impetus to do this was personal.
Yeah, it was personal. It was based around
not necessarily logical. Yeah.
Self-hatred. Do not quote me on disliking her mother, but it was based on apparently her hatred of women or her anger towards women. And I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, maybe you can't continue to do that based on like an emotional desire. I mean, I do as well. My thing is I can't stand it when people are disingenuous. Like in feminism is just chock-a-block with being disingenuous. And also the basic feminist narrative is hateful. Men in authority equals women oppressed. We can have a discussion over whether men in authority is necessarily the way we want to go forward, if it's necessarily what we want to aim for, what it actually means. But men in authority does not equal women oppressed. Not inherently, because authority is the exercise of cruel and unjust. It's cruel and unjust exercise of authority. To believe that men in authority equals women's oppression, you have to believe that men are hateful towards women, right? That men are uncaring towards women. There's nothing that indicates to me that this is a common behavior of men towards women. Because if they were, believe me, women would have been eradicated by now. If anything, men are too conciliatory towards women. They're too willing to bend over backwards to flatter and make women feel better. That's what I see. And the women who assert that men in authority equals women oppression, they omit so much of men's activity in order to do so. So they'll focus on the minority of criminal men who have themselves been most likely sexually abused, most likely by women who engage in sexual abuse, or the cycle of domestic violence, the cycle of violence in families. They'll hyper focus on that, and they'll ignore firefighters, policemen, soldiers. They'll ignore all of the men who of themselves volunteer to help others in disaster situations. They'll ignore all of the men who risk in order to bring people in general utilities. They'll ignore every single good thing that men do in order to hyper focus on the bad, in order to assert their conjecture that men are bad, that men in authority are bad. And it's disingenuous. Okay? And that pisses me off. And maybe it's an emotional feeling. I guess being pissed off is an emotional feeling. I just can't stand people who are disingenuous. But to Natty's point that she was emotionally invested in the men's rights active movement because I guess it was a place where she could express her anger towards women. Well, yeah, I mean, that's valid, but if that's the only thing you're doing, then you're not in the movement to help others. You're in the movement to help yourself. And eventually, you know, either you're going to run out of being helped, or you're just going to get pissed off, or you're just going to bounce. And then you're going to find the new thing that helps you, or supposedly helps you, or you feel helps you. So, I mean, yeah, if you're just going to have, if you're going to come to this in terms of what you get out of it, I mean, there's a hell of a lot you get out of men's advocacy. I'm sorry, guys. I mean, personally, I feel it's challenged me to grow. And I think it's challenged the men and women who are involved in it to grow. But you're not going to retire comfortably on it necessarily, unless you, you create products that people want and feel are very valid. You're not going to get a hell of a lot of attention. If you just flat out, the solution to the problems that we're facing is the thing that we refuse to acknowledge, which is men's point of view and men's issues. If you flat out go from there instead of advocating for positions that already have a lot of influence and a lot of people interested in them. No offense, you know, Christianity does have a lot of people who are invested in it. Conservatism does, liberalism does, and you try to fit the men's rights advocacy to that position rather than saying, no, first principles is men's rights advocacy. Like, you're not going to necessarily get a huge following for that because it's a very uncomfortable, Karen put it, it's something that people don't want to think logically about, because it's in many ways the relationship between men and women is where we derive a purpose. And a lot of men derive a purpose from appealing to women, protecting and providing for women. And when you challenge that, you're challenging something very fundamental to themselves. And a lot of women derive a sense of self from being able to manipulate things out of men because they have that kind of emotional dependency on men. So it's like you're challenging things people don't want to think about intellectually. It's very difficult. So all of you here, give yourselves a pat on your back. You're really stubborn. You're really invested in the truth. Because a lot of people just bounce as soon as the truth becomes uncomfortable, but you haven't. But anyway, my ultimate point is that you don't get much personally out of this advocacy. You know, I'm very grateful that we've managed to be able to make something of a living off of it. You know, me, Brian, Jonathan, and everybody, and Hannah to a lesser degree. And I think Dr. Randermercam also, you know, we've managed to make something out of it. I mean, very grateful for that. But I mean, if you weren't doing this, you'd be doing something else, right? And I'm grateful to be able to do this work because I think that it does challenge me to become a better person. But in terms of just getting emotional succor, no, you're not going to get it from this. It's like, you know, most other forms of thinking is like just sitting on the couch and eating potato chips. This is CrossFit. Men's rights advocacy is CrossFit for political positions. If it is a political position, it's going to challenge you. And she was challenged. For whatever reason, it ceased to be giving her the emotional succor that she wanted, and she bounced. Right? She didn't evolve her viewpoint from what do I get out of this to what do I give? And that's, I mean, a while back I mentioned this, having a conversation with a feminist. She didn't understand what I got as a pick-me. She's like, well, whatever you pick-me's get. I'm like, yeah, it's not what I get, it's what I can give. Well, Natty got to the point where she had to ask herself, what do I give? And she bounced. That's my interpretation of what she said. And
I think COVID traumatized her, and she was never the same. I think the COVID lockdowns did something. That's my. It's just pure guess. Okay, something happened during COVID because of the lockdowns and all of the stuff that happened, and you know, I think it, like, some people never recovered, and they just like went down a dark road where they were trying to like understand why did this happen. And they didn't, and that's because what I think.
We became obsessed with risk. We failed to appropriately assess risk.
I think, or like it shattered like people's like perception of like, you know, trust in institutions and all that. I mean, I didn't have a lot of trust in them anyway, but that's why for me it wasn't a big deal. It was like, why
is there some dude, Trump is a felon? Who cares? What's the poor take?
Oh, whatever, Allison, don't take the bait. Anybody who goes by that name obviously is an unserious person. So, but we should
it's
wrap
been a
it up.
while, hasn't it?
Yeah, it was a long one.
It's a long one.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, I never did the things, but I'll double check to make sure that we got all the super chows.
I did read them both. There were 2.
Yeah, just 2. If you do want to send a message after the show is over, you can do so at feedthebadger.com/justthetip. We will read it out on the next, show that makes sense to address it, basically. So feedthebadger.com/justthetip to send us a message. And it also goes to our patron Discord for people to ruminate upon it and post, hopefully in a positive way. And if you're interested in joining us in our patron Discord, it's badgernation.online. You do have to get a Discord account. But badgernation.online, there are some places that you can talk to the rest of the crew and get some more information. We have sources. It's very much appreciated if you come and participate in the community, because that's really what this is about, is to build a community. So feed the badgernation.online. And if you want to support the show for the month, feedthebadger.com/support. And I'll hand it back to you, Brian, to do the final things.
All right. Well, then if you guys like this video, please hit like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, hit the bell for notifications, leave us a comment. Let us know what you guys think about what we discussed on today's show. I was entertained and I think I learned something from it. And please, please, please share this video, because sharing is caring. Thank you guys so much for coming on today's episode of Maintaining Frame, and we'll talk to you guys in the next one.
Men's rights activists are machines, dude. Okay? They are literal machines. They are talking point machines. They are impossible to fucking deal with, especially if you have like a couple dudes who have good memory on top of that too. Holy shit, you're fucked.